Hey folks, happy Memorial Day and welcome to another episode of Off the Rack. I'm Sal.
I'm Tiffany.
So we're going to be talking about some comic books, and there's not really a big pile of comic book news, but normally we like to pull something from the headlines and talk about that as well. Today, we got too many books and too much going on to get into that. Really, I also couldn't find anything that was a particularly noteworthy. So we're not going to bother. We're just going to jump into the comic books. We should mention that the show is sponsored by you. If you're watching the show live, you can sponsor today's show using Super Chats. Ask a question or comment, read it here on the show, and be part of the show forever. If you're listening to the show, we thank you very much for listening on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and everywhere podcasts are listened to. If you want to help us out with that, you can also give us a like and or rating. I don't know. I don't make any money off of the audio podcasts, so I make sure you have them. But honestly, that it begins and ends there. Like I can put it there and make sure it updates, and that's kind of it. Otherwise, it's in the audio podcast God's hands now. Otherwise, there's a lot more going on. Also, we added a new tier on patreon.com/comicpop. Actually, it's been a tier that's been there for a while for the second to highest tier and highest tiers on our Patreon. It's like an exclusive kind of like distinction / chat room in our Discord. It's free to join the Discord. Obviously, there's no like limitations, but there is like a special patrons only Discord channel now within that. Patreon made that available, and then it was impossible to like link, and then someone brought it up to me, and I was like, oh, and then it was much more easy to fix. So hooray. Anyway, again, just to remind you, sponsors, we don't have them, so it's just you guys, but thank you so much for being here and for your help and support. A lot of comics to get through / talk about. I actually even skipped a few. Like I didn't get a chance to talk about any of the Ghost Machine books, but there's plenty more where that came from. Like really quick, just to shotgun these. I read James Bond 007 #5 from Garth Ennis and Rafa Labasco. This, it's a weird book. It comes out of nowhere. It's not set in any continuity. It's Garth Ennis's version of James Bond, and obviously an angry anti-British Irishman writing a James Bond book is going to be interesting and fun. That said, he also very much approaches it from like the Ian Fleming approach of James Bond, which is like kind of like a xenophobic psychopath. Very suited to Garth Ennis's taste, I say, but ultimately it's just a James Bond story, though it seems like it could, it has implications of it being just a regular old James Bond story. Oh no, there's this English created, Soviet stolen and refined weapon that turns people into ice blocks, like it just freezes people, and the Americans want it, and it's just been a sprawling continuing story of that. I believe there's only 1 or 2 more issues left of this story. I don't know if it's a series. I don't know if it's going to be like an ongoing, or if it's going to be like, act 1, act 2, that kind of thing. But it was fun. The art is, it tells the story. It's not, blowing my mind, but the action sequences are well rendered, and the talky scenes are, they're as boring as you would find in like an older James Bond movie where characters are saying things that as a kid you're watching James Bond, you're thinking this is kind of boring, and then as an adult you're watching it and you're like, oh, this is actually, they're not really saying a lot. It's actually less boring than I thought, but also it's less complicated. Anyway, this carries that tradition of like a lot of people talk and they don't really say much when you get right down to it.
Right.
But it's an interesting experiment, and it's not like it's Garth Ennis's 007. Oh my god, it's super violent and messy and monstrous, and all this crazy The Boys / scalped stuff. Like, no, it's just a James Bond book. It's like Ennis was like, I just want to do the James Bond story. I also read Thundercats #4 from Declan Shalvey and Drew Moss. This is the end of the first arc, if anything. Like, wow, it's just
4 issues.
Yeah, I know. And it very much just reminds me of the animated series, but told with a kind of modern flair. There's like this, modernity to it. I think it has a lot to do with Drew Moss's art, just really coming up to the plate and giving us characters we're very familiar with in a more modern comic book setting, but without it being ultra modern, without it being, approximating some kind of crazy style that no one's going to be interested in. It's not like the Wildstorm book. It's just a Thundercat story that reminds you of the Thundercats from, the 80s. Not a lot of ground being dug, but it's still, if you were interested in just reading the adventures of like the classic Thundercats, especially getting like a retelling of their origin, and not like a prequel to the Thundercats. Just like, what if the Thundercats landed on Third Earth and had to fight Mumra, the bad guys? Yeah, that's what this is. It's fun, but you know, if you're looking to trade wait, you know, you can wait until the arc here ends. Issue 5 comes out, I think, in like, I don't know, a couple of weeks, maybe less, and it's pretty fun. So check it out.
That's awesome.
If you're of a mind. What about you?
There's things I definitely didn't get a chance to read. Like, I didn't read Ghost Rider, but there's a good reason for that. I was catching up on something else, and I chose to do that over the other thing. But I did wrap up Justice League versus Godzilla versus Kong.
Well, it is the end.
This is the end. This is it. It's Brian Buccellato, or Buccellato, I don't know, with art by Christian Duce.
Yeah, you've been saying Duce.
As I have been going with that. And Tom Derenick. Derenick, yeah. Yeah, this is it. It's over. It's done. And folks, if you were looking for like a classic sort of like big old event where like characters cross over and like things happen and people get punched and then it kind of wraps up, that is 100%.
That's what it is.
This is just fun. I will be honest, the end of this last issue felt a little rushed, and I felt like earlier on maybe we could have paced ourselves a little bit better, so this felt a little less rushed, but it also felt like classic crossover series from DC or Marvel where you're just like, and then it all was fine and yeah, we can go on with our lives. Like, there was something very endearing about the way that this concluded, and in fact there was a moment in this book that made me laugh aloud that it had happened, and you know, as it was happening, I was like, how did I not see this coming? And I think it's just because I was just reading the book. I really wasn't thinking too much about it. I wasn't,
you weren't meta reading, you were just enjoying
about
it.
This book. But yeah, this issue was longer. I think it ended up being closer to 40 pages.
Yeah.
And it flew. Like, it flew. But yeah, it's just a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Batman and Cyborg do something in here to help out Superman, and I like it a lot. I like what they ended up doing. That's not the thing that made me laugh. It's
just another moment.
Just another moment. I don't want to ruin it for you. It's the last issue. I really try not to tell you too much about this issue in particular.
And we've known it's been 7 issues, so it's even like, you know, your feeling of, oh man, like they could have, you know, cut it earlier at some points.
Not even cut it, yeah, or like just like move some things around. Yeah, this issue just felt a little rushed.
But it's like, we knew it was 7 issues. It's not like, oh, it's earlier solicited as 8 and now it's 7.
Yeah. It just feels like they were like, I mean, maybe what it is they're like, who cares how it kind of wraps up? The fact is like, you wanted to see these characters punch each other and deal with it, and you know, Justice League reacting to various kaiju, you know, like, so in that case, the series did exactly what I wanted it to do.
Yeah, the Justice League and Godzilla and Kong were all versus each other.
Yeah, this is like one of those where it's like, you're not gonna put this up against like Watchmen. I mean, but like, it doesn't mean you can't enjoy it. And I definitely did enjoy this book overall. And if you were trade waiting on it, I would go and grab it when it comes out as a trade. If you had any interest at all. I mean, honestly, if you think about like summer blockbuster style movies, this has that kind of feel. So if you're looking for something kind of like that as like a summer read, if it does come out before them, I don't know when the trade comes out for this, but check it out. It's fun. You know, it looks good. You know, the big fights look great. All the kaiju look great. Folk get to rally, and yeah, like if they did another one of these, I would definitely read it.
I think I don't know how it's sold, so I hope they do.
I don't know either, but I would definitely read another one of these. It was fun.
Nice. I read Superior Spider-Man #7 from Dan Slott and Mark Bagley. This is, of course, basically just Dan Slott being a Spider-Man writer and having his own corner of the Spider-Man universe. If you were wondering if it connects to anything, it absolutely doesn't. But I was thinking about this recently where like none of the Spider-Man books connect to anything at all at this point. So you could just do whatever you want. Like Spider-Man, Superior Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man, Blood Hunt, like none of them connect to anything. So you might as well just enjoy the ride. Pick your Spider-Man and go for it. Obviously Bailey, Dan Slott's new favorite character, is Dr. Octopus, but then again, so is all of Manhattan, and it essentially is Spider Island. But if instead of people having spider powers, they have their minds taken over by Dr. Octopus.
Wait, that's happening right now?
That's happening right now in Superior Spider-Man. Only
current Marvel continuity?
Yes. Have you asked Dan Slott? Yes, absolutely. And it happens just on another day. I mean, I was thinking about this recently, the Spectacular Spider-Man book. That is only happening on like every other Wednesday or something when Peter and Miles specifically get together even though Miles is embroiled in blood hunt and he's in a very predicament, a strong predicament right now that has nothing to do with what's going on in that book.
Right.
Yeah, just assume this all happened within the span of 8 days or something between events or stories or issues, and Peter doesn't think about it or refer to them in any way in any other books. But yeah, it's Spider Island, but Doc Ock. Eventually, Doc Ock himself, like the Man, finds out that the whole of Manhattan has been taken over. Peter and Anna Maria, meet up with the former vestiges of Doc Ock's Superior Spider-Man army that live under the Hudson, and Spidey's like, I know, I'll fall for the same stupid trick that ended Spider Island, and got me into being Superior Spider-Man and do it again. Wait, I physically wasn't able to do it, so I guess I won't, and I guess that would be a stupid move anyway, so I won't do that either. It actually is like a very much in keeping with essentially if Dan Slott got to keep doing Amazing Spider-Man, this is the book. So if you love Dan Slott's run on Spider-Man and don't want to deal with any other stuff or want to pretend like he never left, then this is the book for you. If you were looking for Peter Parker to be supplanted by Doc Ock and become the Superior Spider-Man, you are probably going to be very disappointed by the series. Though other Spider people do become Doc Ock, like Bailey, for example, everyone's favorite new character, Bailey. So if you like that, then this is the one for you. It certainly is its own book that has those characters. Like, Jameson shows up, Aunt May shows up, Peter's there. Of course, your favorite character Bailey is there. Like, there's everything that you can expect from a Dan Slott Spider-Man book. And if you don't like what Zeb Wells is doing, then you can easily just read Superior and you don't have to worry about any other book. Okay. It's never going to tie in anything else. Right. But otherwise, I mean, Mark Bagley does a nice job with all of his Mark Bagley-isms. Like, it's a fun-looking book that harkens back to a period when Mark Bagley wrote drew Amazing Spider-Man, and it looks fun and feels captivating in its own way. I suppose if you like that kind of thing, you might really find it engaging.
Yeah.
Tom Taylor and Bruno Redondo are back to do Nightwing in Nightwing number 114.
Is this it or
no, that's not it. This is the arc that's going to end it.
Okay.
There's 5 issues left of, I think, Tom Taylor's run. This is what I was kind of afraid of.
Lots of things are falling.
Yes. Well, it was a trapeze artist. So
Nightwing's falling.
That's true. Yeah. A lot of falls. Maybe they did some market research and found that if characters fall, they increase sales by a significant margin. I don't know. I remember the first time a superhero fell, and not necessarily Superman, but rather when Daredevil fell from grace. That was the whole name of the arc.
Right.
Fall from grace. Amazing covers. Terrible story. But yeah, as far as in DC with Nightwing, I was warning about this. Hey, Nightwing is happy and everything's great, and so we got to take it down. And so the Heartless has finally sprung.
Is he making this tripod dog walk through the snow?
Oh yeah, no, he certainly does, and it's bookended. Like, Dick Grayson must have lost everything, and his entire empire has fallen, and now he's in the snow with Bitewing. But
you carry that dog.
Yeah, but what
you put it in a little backpack?
Like, how do we get here? Well, let's go back, and so. There's a big fundraiser, and Bruce and the family are there, and then it's revealed through viral videos that maybe Nightwing is compromised, and then Alfred Pennyworth's billions were through ill-gotten gains, and he's doing deals with Blockbuster, and obviously it's all taken out of context, but it's like part 1 of 12 that Heartless is using to destroy Nightwing and Dick Grayson and, get his revenge for having been the villain of this entire arc, but only being in like maybe 11 collective pages. This is a fun story, although I would caution you, if you've loved how Dick Grayson's been portrayed and seen how capable he is, be prepared for him to lose and lose everything, lose big. I can't imagine how his inner circle being this interconnected and being integral to this run would allow that to happen, but who knows? I mean, we'll see.
Okay.
Don't forget also, like, he's afraid of falling. Like, he's been mind whammied, so now he's afraid to jump. And I'm so sick of that. Like, just these random arbitrary isms, like these little things they just like, like Bruce Wayne isn't a mega billionaire now. It's a little different. It's like, unless somebody wants to write whatever they want, in which case they can do whatever they want. But like in the main continuity, though, it's a little different. Like Nightwing, it's exactly the same. He's very happy. He's swinging around with Barbara and everything's going great, but he's a little afraid of heights now. And that's ironic because, like, he's a trapeze artist. What? But, I guess if the character just had a corn dog and enjoyed his day and like watched the Tudors, it would be a boring comic. So here it is. But Nightwing Fallen Grayson begins. Yeah, just it's a show that people like.
What a dated reference.
Is it? I mean, maybe he's been a busy guy. Maybe he missed the whole damn thing.
Okay,
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I see what you're saying.
But yeah, so we want to thank you all so much for that. But yeah, Nightwing. It's good. It's good.
Yeah,
Redondo doesn't have any huge Redondo moments, but it's still good.
I get it. I mean, they can't all be huge Redondos.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see you have this up. So let's talk about John Constantine, Hellblazer, Dead in America, #5. A lot of title. This is written by Simon Spurrier with art by a lot of people. Because there's a lot of vignettes.
Yeah, did you know that was going to happen before you picked up this book?
Based on the size of the issue, it makes total sense. And then, like, when you see the way that it's being contextualized, yeah. No, it makes of course.
Good.
It's drawn by Aaron Campbell, by Kelsey Ramsey, by John McCrae, and and then also one of them is written by Aaron Campbell.
Oh wow, okay, cool.
And that's drawn by John Pearson.
Neat.
So mostly Simon Spurrier, one Aaron Campbell written in there. I like that. I like the collaboration of these two creatives. Yeah, so this issue is great because it's John, he's in America, and again,
as the title suggests.
Well, I was gonna say, like, we've seen John in America in the past and it wasn't well received by people.
That's true.
This is just expertly done. So if that was like making you not want to read it because maybe you didn't like when he was in America last time, trust me, pick this up. It is through and through British. Don't worry about it. But the idea is they're traveling down Route 66. They're tracking down sand. They have 1 grain of
Sandman's or Dreams sand.
Dreams sand. Yeah. And the idea is like once you have one, it's easier to find the others, right? And as they're traveling along, there are mysterious narrators talking about their journey and how like they don't want them to keep going on their journey. It's 3 voices. And if you have any history at all within the Sandman universe, you know who it is before you even get to the end and see who it is. And you're like, all right, fine. Yeah. But if you don't, it's fine. You just go on the journey as the book intends you to do. And the idea here is that like along Route 66, there's like plenty of stories that have been told.
Oh, sure.
Such things. And like, they're going to go through several of them, but like the stories are starting to like meld into one another. It's interesting. Right. And so that's what it is. It's
great.
It's 3 like things that like they run across.
Okay.
And you get these different vignettes and, there's commentary on certain things for sure, because don't be surprised. Like Hellblazer has always had that.
Yes.
In it. You know what I mean?
It's always been
like,
about whatever's happening in today.
Yeah. Depending on where today is. Right.
Yes.
And they're all, like actually the one-way ticket one I thought was really well done. Again, commentary, critique, but like just well written, well done. There's one about Chupacabra. That one's bizarre and I love it for it, right? But at the end, what you need to know is you find out who your mysterious narrators are, who they were, and that one of them's coming for them, and I'm like, okay, cool. But we're making specifically, I'm pretty sure we're making a Judge Dredd reference, but also simultaneously a Terminator 2 reference in a sense, because one like we the idea here is that like they're like Constantine's going to Vegas, and like Constantine will face the law.
Oh. Yeah, but he looks like the T-1000. She looks like the T-1000. Interesting. But the cop version.
Yes.
That's fun.
Yeah. So I'm like very British, very through and through. But like this book just, it's easy for me to be like, it's brilliant and amazing and awesome and whatever. And like,
but there are different creatives
while
in there.
it's but like while the book is good, it's like as Sal has said before, it's easy to be like, well, I know it's going to be good. I know it's going to keep being good. And the reason I keep wanting to tell you that it is good is because consistency is not an easy thing. And this is a limited series, we're not going to have this forever. And I think it's good to appreciate it while it is here, if you're interested in it at all.
Yeah.
And if you're not a person who likes to read individual issues, as soon as the availability to pre-order the trade comes up, if you want to support the book, do it that way. Let them know that you like these kind of stories. Because I think this is brilliant. I really do. I liked the first time through. And like I said, this has felt maybe a little more angry, but like, it's kind of found its like through it's like its voice,
okay,
for sure, and it doesn't feel very different from the last one that Spurrier had. So if you like that, you're probably gonna like this. Also, if you're American, it might be easier for you to get into this, even though this carries the baggage from the last series.
Because of the familiar setting.
Because of the familiar settings, at least you know that, and you know a little bit more about the politics that are going on in the story. And if you're a Sandman fan, you're definitely going to get a lot out of this. So, love this book. You know, John Constantine, A Dead in America. Yeah, good stuff. Freaking great. Hellblazer is also in there in the title.
John Constantine,
Hellblazer, Dead in America.
Number 5.
Really good. Really good. I guess if you wanted to, there'll be a couple of things you'd be like, I don't understand what's happening necessarily, but for the most part, you could probably grab this issue to see if you like the voice of it. Because it is the vignettes.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
It just shows you where they're going next. So
interesting. I also read The Spectacular Spider-Man number 3 from Greg Weisman and Humberto Ramos. This is, of course, yet another Peter Parker starring series that is not connected in any way to the main universe, but also takes place within it. This one is more of the like Miles and Peter team up book. They meet on a weekly basis. But this story again ignores all those other stories. So here you go with this is the universe where these characters do this. I thought I missed an issue or something because of how like jarringly different the setting was and the circumstances, but I understood immediately afterwards. Like Peter and Miles are hit with some kind of a special dream machine, which causes them to have waking dreams that can be peered into by the villainous maniacs behind the dream machines that they are subjected to. As such, we get to floating narratives. We have the reality that Peter imagines in his subconscious that we're watching, in which Peter's married to Gwen Stacy and they have 2 kids, and that Captain Stacy is alive and he and Aunt May are dating. We have Miles's reality, in which it's pretty much exactly the same, but he's dating Kamala Khan. And then we have the regular story where there are vermins and there's a clone corpse at the morgue and Carly Cooper's back and they're dealing with something or other. And also they're being monitored by the deadly duo that have concocted this dream machine in the first place, but also manages to watch them in action, but not contextualize who they are in their civilian lives because they're not using their last names when they're when they're talking to each other. I don't know. I think that it's fun and I enjoy it, but this one was particularly jarring and was very much like it bounced around a lot. And I think it's meant to make you feel like, whoa, like I think you're supposed to feel kind of lost, but at the same time, Wiseman is not a stranger to the comic book format, though I've never seen him write any other Spider-Man stories. So maybe this is just like he's just so excited and he wants to get it all in there.
Okay.
It's very much compressed. There's a lot going on in every issue, so you will get your a good bang for your buck.
Right.
But otherwise, it's just it was a little jarring, but and if you like Humberto Ramos, you're gonna love it. If you don't like Humberto Ramos, this is very much consistently Humberto Ramos' Spider-Man, and it looks great. I personally think it looks just as good as like when he was in Spectacular years and years ago. So it looks great, and I'm digging it. And it's not quite as creepy and weird when Peter imagines himself with Gwen Stacy in his subconscious than it used to be. This is like one of the few times we can actually take advantage of Peter not being married by being like, yeah, no, I mean, like he's had a weird relationship with Mary Jane. He was her super duper long-term extra special boyfriend, and then they weren't, and then they were, and then they weren't again, and now she's someplace else, and she's a superhero, and you know what? Maybe it'd just be simpler if I was with Gwen, and that's only in my subconscious, so who cares? It's weird. It's fun and weird. I like Miles and Kamala. That's a lot of fun, and that one.
So wait, this is set in the past, though, right?
This is set now.
But
their dreams are subconscious. He's just imagining, oh man, wouldn't it have been great if Gwen and Captain Stacy didn't die?
Gotcha. I meant like the Miles and Kamala thing.
That may or may not have happened, but also in his dreams, he would like it to happen.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
No, that story could actually be happening in reality, and it wouldn't change a damn thing. They even refer to things that are happening in current continuity on their dates. So it's like, all right, whatever. Again, very much like Fast and Loose, despite the rumors that like editorials kind of like driving story nowadays
for Spider-Man,
for comic books. Wouldn't they have some handle on continuity? But then I remembered it's a Marvel book and there aren't any editors.
It feels like sometimes they just want to make books that everyone Like they're like, I don't care. This isn't.
And that's the thing. Like, you can just, anyone can just jump. Like, you pick your Spider-Man and go. You want to read Miles? Go. Like, Miles has a book all on his own that is just not connected to any of the other Spider-Man books. And apparently people love it. This one, you want to read a book about Peter and Miles? Boom, you got it. And you don't have to read anything else, and no one's going to bother you.
Yeah.
And I don't know why you'd read Amazing, but statistically speaking, you are. So, enjoy this dumpster fire.
Right.
And Ultimate as well. Like, there's at least 5 Peter Parker books going on right now, and none of them are connected in any way.
Right.
So, did you read this? Wonder Woman #9.
I did.
Tom King, Daniel Sampere. This is, of course, continuing in the saga of Wonder Woman. Although I think this is like part 1 of something. Like, this is okay. As far as I'm concerned, this is going to be a 12-issue story. Like, we're going to get essentially 12, maybe 13 issues of Wonder Woman, and then the book's going to end, or King's going to be off the book. I don't know, but I get the feeling that this is like a short ride.
That's fine.
Not unlike every Tom King story.
That's fine.
But I think this book also said, like, oh, this is part 1 of something else. I'm like, stop with the parts. It's issue 9. Like, it's just the next one.
Yeah, but that's like a way, like, that comics do that all the time. I don't like.
I know.
Why criticize that? Like, comics
because the Maxis. Because as far as I'm concerned, there's only 3 more issues left of the story.
Sure, but like, I guess what they're saying is that in the continuity for Wonder Woman, if like its legacy numbered, then that would be part whatever of the story.
Sure, yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah. Otherwise, I mean, obviously, Daniel Sampere is doing the work of his career. It's fantastic stuff. Sampere's just crushing it.
Yeah.
Cover work is next level, but like, interiors are no slouch either.
Yeah.
Everything about it is just like great looking. The whole story is essentially Wonder Woman from her prison cell as being captive of the Sovereign, and her receding into her mind to stave off madness and torture.
100%.
And so the whole thing is essentially her kind of like conjuring a idyllic version of Steve Trevor and help her maintain her tether on reality. It's also a fun kind of reflection on that, like, reality that the Sovereign put her through using the lasso of lies, which also features Steve Trevor, but was much more of a domestic, 50s idyllic Leave It to Beaver kind of reality, where Steve Trevor told Wonder Woman what to do all the time. And in this one, she imagines him as more of like a connective, like, partner that sees each other as equals. And so they express, their mutual respect and love for each other in various locations and ways, and that's the issue.
Yeah, I mean, it is a good way for King to but that's never happened to Tom King, where someone thought he was Tom Taylor.
No.
I like to
mix it up.
Yeah, I like to mix it up.
Yes, like King himself, you subvert expectations.
I do. I think that this is a smart way for King to delve a little more into their relationship in a way that the book hasn't allowed for.
Yeah, and without it being reductive.
Yeah, and we're not like putting things on hold or whatever. Like, this is all part of what's happening right now, and it can be a little more compressed in terms of what all the topics they go over because of the context in which it's being told to us.
Yes.
So I really appreciate that. I really enjoyed this issue a lot. There's a lot of words in this issue.
Yes, and you liked reading them.
I liked reading them. I did. I liked reading the words that were in this book. And I appreciate the fact that yes, while it is a celebration of their relationship, or like at least an establishment of their relationship,
or her vision of their relationship,
or his support of her, it's also the realization that, like, she's talking to herself.
Yes.
And that, like, she has her own inner strength, and I liked it.
Yeah.
And, it's just kind of like, be like, okay, this is what King thinks of her like her interior thoughts. We've seen a lot of that.
Yeah.
But a lot of the story is told based on someone else's story. So try not to think too much about this, because how would they know this? But
yeah, how would they know what she thought in her own mind? Sometimes they got around it by being like, some say this happened and others say that happened, but I like to believe this. In this case, it's just the whole issue is about her in her mind.
I loved it. I really, really did. I liked them jumping around. I liked getting a little bit more of her background. I liked the idea of her liking Westerns.
Yeah, that was fun. The idea that, like, people assumed that because the Paradise Island didn't know about man's world and man's ideas until he showed up, and it's like, no, we had know what movies are.
Yeah, yeah, exactly that. I just like I like this take on her. I think it shows a variety of strength. I mean, obviously she could crush your head like a grape, but also
Yeah.
like her just internal strength. I
Right.
like it quite a bit. And yeah, I'm here for it. I think it's a really fun book, and I think once it's collected, I think it's going to be one of those that people point to and go like, if you want to get into Wonder Woman, if you like it, this is a book you have to read. Yeah,
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think that like she definitely this is developed specifically to be a trade paperback that can be evergreen that you can pick up and read if you were like, oh, I want to read Wonder Woman, but like it's hard to read her like ongoing adventures or to know whether she has like a killing joke or not.
right.
Incidentally, apropos of those types of stories, Elseworlds notwithstanding, James Gunn finally read Wonder Woman Dead Earth from Daniel Warren Johnson and apparently liked it quite a bit.
Yeah,
He threaded it the other day where he said something like, I just read this friggin' book. Oh my God. And then D-Dubs, of course, was on Twitter, was like, hey. Cool.
Anybody paying attention to this?
Yeah.
To answer a question dropped in the chat, yes, this is the one with the backup that has the corgis in it.
Yes. How'd you like it?
I didn't read that.
I didn't read it either. I didn't get a chance to read it. I didn't see it. I thought it was going to be in there, and I didn't see it.
That was adorable.
That's great.
That's
That's
so
great.
cute.
I always love the Super Sons Trinity backups.
Yeah.
I believe that very concept is up for an Eisner, so huzzah. Good stuff. Great series.
I don't read the backup.
No, that's the thing. The backups are tough.
I should.
Although King and Zdarsky are changing the game by writing all their backups, so they're making them indispensable.
100%.
But yeah, Wonder Woman's great.
Yeah. Absolutely. Do you want to do any super chats? We haven't done any.
That's true. I was thinking about actually saving them, but I guess we could.
Okay, we could save them.
Hulkzilla, happy Memorial Day, everybody.
Thank you
Great
so
sentiment.
much.
Thanks, Hulkzilla. Cat Lord, Fun for Treats. Last back issues, I died when Tiffany exposed Sal and Ethan for glasses wearing hypocrisy. The whole episode had me in tears. Justice for jilted lovers of Spidey. It's true.
Yeah,
no,
100%.
He also goes on to say, how was JLA versus Godzilla to Monster Unleashed more?
Such a great question. How, like, comparatively, I feel like I haven't reread Monsters Unleashed in a minute. But I feel like Monsters Unleashed kind of was relying more on the cachet of making an event where everybody got to hang out together and work towards a common goal. And like it was more like seeing team ups of characters and having them have cool moments. Whereas this one is definitely relying on the cachet of having characters
Yes.
Who have brand recognition on both sides of the playing field, essentially. And while I feel like Monsters Unleashed, if I remember correctly, ended, in a fairly like tight little package and, kind of made sense. This was very like, and then this happens and shut up and who cares? And like, it's a little cheesy how it ends. Like it's a little cheesy how this ends for sure. But you don't have Godzilla over in Monsters Unleashed. And so if you're here for that, if you're like, I want to see King Kong team up with the good guys. Like,
yes.
Then you're going to want to read that versus Monsters Unleashed, which is like, maybe the Marvel monsters, maybe you don't. Like when Fin Fang Foom shows up, you'll be like, oh, hey, that one I know.
Yeah, I love Fin Fang Foom.
So.
Yeah. Cheam Crasher, I recently finished my reread of the Keith Mesner-Loeb's Max run, which is 1 through 20, and the cartoon. Sal's right, the cartoon's the best version of the story. Thank you for that validation. I appreciate it. I love the Max. I think even the comic itself that's where it's all started. I was very much a big fan of it when it was a book. But, that cartoon really distills it and ends in a better place than the book does, I think. Tight and Dry, thank you for your generosity, says, hey guys, I'd love it if Tiffany would discuss the beginning of a couple of mangas on back issues. I specifically think that Vagabond and Monster would be great and may not completely kill the channel.
I appreciate that support 100%. I think that's really kind of you to say that. Thank you for thinking that I could carry that type of show.
Well, you've done that before.
I have done that before. We're not worried about the manga audience not being there. We are actually more worried about the manga publishers being there.
Yes.
And not liking a video like that. And so that's what, in terms of what we talk about, like killing the channel, it's not about like tanking views. It's more about getting a strike. Yeah. That's what we get worried about.
No, we were ready to go with Attack on Titan, but we were really concerned about like basically Manga Storian was their like kind of litmus test. That channel has been like killed by Viz Media 3 times.
And like, here's the thing about that. Like we definitely do a different product. But we also from that learned that they're just more litigious.
Yes.
And they just
more protective.
They're more protective across the board. And there's less, I think, from their legal side of it, looking at how transformative or what the product actually is, and more just getting rid of it.
Yeah.
Without worrying and without like an argument of any kind.
Exactly.
And so yeah, we will worry about that a little
I think
bit.
they look at it as a slippery slope. You know, they're
Sure.
like, if we there's too much nuance involved in the conversation, so it's better to just have an iron fist about it.
If you give the mouse cookie.
That's
I
right.
Get it.
A secret boss, Ohio from Japan.
Ohio.
As a physical collector, how do you deal with storage? I like collecting omnibus, but I started being picky now because of space. Well, because we have a studio, I'm actually able to kind of like expand and play with however much. When there's a book or a collection that I want, I just get it. But that wasn't always the case when I was growing up, and it certainly won't be the case when I have to inevitably get rid of all this. And I think if I were to scale down, especially if I was in some place like Japan and didn't have endless space, I would be very selective with my physical collections. You know, I would not necessarily, I would be discerning about what I get, but I'd also be very open about what I would get rid of and what I'm more comfortable, what I can't get rid of. And I think it's actually maybe a little, the Marie Kondo effect of like, does this spark joy in me? You know, I would look at something and try to figure out like, what can't I live without? Or what would I think I'd need to go and reclaim in 10 years?
Right.
Those are things those are the questions I might have, but certainly, you know, we have like, I think 20 long boxes or more of single issues. I know a lot of different collectors have storage units and stuff, but I've heard too many horror stories to ever rely on one. I would never get a storage unit to keep my comics. At that point, I would just let them go. Like I would just sell them.
Yeah, I get that. Unless you've got, I mean, there are people who do have waterproof. It just depends on what your means are for that.
But also the idea of like having a storage unit and having it just be filled with comics that I'm never going to open or look at or get again. Like the idea of me dying and my storage unit being reclaimed by someone who bought the storage unit out from under me, like just brings my heart with dread. And I don't want to imagine a world where that happens to anybody. And, you know, not just for comics, but also in this particular case, it's just like, once you put your comics in a place that you don't have like direct access to, I feel like you might as well just sell them and enjoy the money.
Yeah.
And the space.
I get that. Unless you're trying to, like, if you've got a family and you want to pass them down.
Absolutely. Well, that's a very different conversation.
In terms of physical collection, I'd say that's like, sometimes if you have like a smaller space, you need to start considering a hybridization of digital and physical, because a lot of times when it comes to like individual issues, like a floppy, I'll have purchased it online, and then I'll read things there, which technically I don't own. But then what I might do is grab like the first issue of the series, and then maybe I'll also get, if like I really really love the series, I'll get the trade of it. Like I think that's a way to handle it, where it's like if you feel strongly about a series after reading it, maybe you go try and get that first issue.
That's what I did with Zdarsky's Daredevil. When that run first started, I got the first issue and then I read the rest of it through Comixology.
Yeah, totally fair.
Zach Nelson, thank you for your generosity, says, how do you understand Watchmen as a comic that's not just dark and edgy and saying enjoying superheroes is dumb? I feel like I'm missing the deeper metaphor. The movie sucks, in my opinion, but why does the comic work? It seems like you're asking a lot of questions. I think you're also meta asking. I think you're referring to a show that we did that is not related to this show, in which we made a joke, or rather a reference to I believe it's not even an episode that's come out yet, so it's really tough to address that at this point. But in the context, without giving up to way too much, Alan, the joke / conversation was hypothetical in nature, in which the guys and I were talking about Alan Moore's reaction to Frank Miller's magnum opus, The Dark Knight Strikes Again. And we don't know what his opinions were, but we mused upon them as we're wont to do. And in one of those cases, we were like, how could you hate what happens in that book when superhero comic books exist, because it's as dumb as anything else that happens in regular comic books? Like, that's the joke, is it? Like, because Alan Moore has made, very pointed claims about superhero comics and how they're, emotionally stifling and, they're not helpful for development. And so that's the joke, and we don't really necessarily believe that, nor do we subscribe to that theory, nor do I think even Alan Moore believes in that. I think he just says those things because he doesn't want to have a microphone shoved in his face and ask about an industry that he kind of walked away from and has treated him poorly for the last 50 years. I mean, and when it comes to Watchmen is it is a deconstruction of the comic book superhero genre through the lens of comic books. It's also the first of its type, and certainly the first of its type that dared to approach comics from like such a vantage point of genuine literary criticism, and yet also through genuine storytelling prowess. And so for that and many, many more reasons, that book is hailed as a masterpiece, and I think it's deservedly so. And I think it's fair that someone who would write Watchmen would also think that superheroes are dumb. It doesn't mean I have to agree with him. It doesn't mean you have to agree with me. J Sage says, I'd give my soul, you don't have to do that, it's very extreme, for Sal to read Hunter x Hunter regarding as the best shonen. It's like a gritty superhero, gritty Super Sons written by husband of Sailor Moon author.
Yeah, Naoko Takeuchi. They're a power couple. And it's funny that you say that because I never think of him as the writer of that. I think of him as the creator of Yu Yu Hakusho. It's just like, that's what...
I've heard of Hunter x Hunter.
Yeah, you've also heard of Yu Yu Hakusho.
Only in that context where you said it once.
It's not even true.
I've never seen it.
Wow.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
But I have seen quite a bit of Sailor Moon.
Well, I mean, you live in a house with me, so...
Yeah. But yeah, you don't have to give away your soul for that. I'm sure I've seen some element of Hunter x Hunter, whether it's manga or anime. I couldn't tell you. He also goes on to say, Tiffany, you might love the new Thor Hulk runs, part of the Age of Monsters. Also, I think you'd love Dora, Hey Dora, Sorcerers, Strong Women. It's made for you. There you go.
Okay.
Hayden Hamilton, LA has been such a beautiful and terrible experience. Thank you for consistently being a source of joy. You help more than you could know. Thank you. Well, thank you, Hayden. Yeah.
So I realize now that was two different properties to look at. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Thor, yes. The Thor books.
Sorry,
the Hulk books.
I merged what you said into one thing. I was like, what?
Yeah. Dora Hedora. Yeah. 3 different properties. They're all interesting. But yeah, I've been to LA. I would never live there. I barely visit. But I respect the hell out of you for giving it the old college try. Yeah. And Zach Nelson, what's the best way to get into X-Men? Honestly, like, because X-Men is so expansive and it's all over the place, your options are you can either jump into the latest status quo, which I would say is I would not start reading Fall of X. I would wait for the next run from, the creative minds of the House of Ideas. But if you're like, I don't want to wait until that, or I want to know my X-Men before I get to this new status quo, you can either visit the previous status quo, which is, the Hickman / Krakoa era, where you start with Hox and Pox and you go from there. But it might seem a little daunting because there's so many different directions to go to, which is kind of the reason why I think that run was so successful, because there's so many different titles and so many different creative teams and so many different characters to choose from. You could the idea that anyone would say that the Krakoa era sucks is insane to me, because there was a book made for you during that period. Like, even if you didn't read it, doesn't mean it didn't exist. Like, there were so many effing X-Men books at that time that were made for so many different audiences. Odds are, statistically speaking, there's one for you. So there you go. But if you don't want to go to that, I would just I would watch the cartoon and just go, like, whatever story seemed the coolest to you, go pick up that arc. And then read that. Right. Or if you're like, I don't really like, I love Spider-Man and I want to get into the X-Men, then you could read like Spider-Man X-Men crossovers. There's this amazing Marvel Age story where Spider-Man goes to the Savage Land. That's fun because it's got Sauron in it. Or you could read like Spider-Man and the X-Men. I believe Chris Duskage wrote that. And it's like just getting your feet wet, introducing you to these characters, and then, and then odds are there's going to be a citation in there, and then you just go from there and just follow the breadcrumbs. Honestly, like every X-Men fan I've ever met up until Tiffany at this point had either watched the cartoon show and gotten into the comic that way, or was just saw a cover and said that looks amazing and then just started reading.
Yeah, honestly, like the cartoon is a great way to go through and be like, do I care? Like,
do I even care about this world?
Not just that, like that. Like, do I care about this storyline? Oh, maybe I'll just look up more about that, since it's based on the comics. Maybe it's not exactly the same and it's not as broad as what the comics might have done, but it might give you a litmus test for what you're looking for in terms of their history if you want to go back that far.
Very true.
Otherwise, it's really just finding characters and creative teams that you enjoy, which is hard because they've had such a large history. It's a long history.
Long, very, very robust history.
Yeah.
And Dylan Hall says, Silent Tiffany, Immortal Sergeant, have by the same people who did I to Kill Giants. Have you ever heard of it?
I, of course, have heard of it. I don't. My reasoning for liking I Kill Giants has nothing to do with the creative team. It's everything about that story.
Yeah.
So it's not something I'm interested in just because,
like,
that's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Thank you, though.
Right. Like, and you like Joe Kelly books.
Oh,
like,
I
you've
do.
read Joe Kelly books.
I do. But like that creative team isn't like someone I'm like, ooh.
It's not like Brian K. Vaughan and Fiona Staples had a new book, or Helena Winhorn. What's the matter?
100% that. Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
I just laughed at Helena Winhorn.
Yeah, Helena Winhorn. I don't know if you guys are aware, but Helena Winhorn is out.
I wish
right
they
now.
put another one out.
Well, there's I'm sure another one's on the horizon since it is a mini series of some kind.
It right now.
But yeah, it's not the same thing.
No.
And Nick Barucci from Dynamite Entertainment. Thank you very much for your generosity. Catching you guys live, I wanted to say hi. Something to help support the channel. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Asking everyone to hit that thumbs up for Tiffany and Sal. Likes are free and support is priceless. Keep up the great work, guys. We'll catch the rest later. Well, thank you very much, Nick. We really, really appreciate it. And yeah, by the way, folks, if you are just why not? Here we go. There is a Dynamite Humble Bundle out there that you should check out.
Yeah, I saw you mention that there's a bunch of comic ones.
There's a bunch of comic books. IDW is having a Turtles one. It's just all Turtles. IDW, or rather, Dynamite just wrapped up their backer kit for the Terminator 40th anniversary. If you are interested in Terminator, you should definitely check that out. I myself have backed it, and we'll be getting those books.
Why don't we explain to them, like, if you don't know what a Humble Bundle is?
Oh, yes. What is it? Well, it's funny because when I found out that Humble Bundles were comics, I had heard about them from a different context, and that's one that you were more familiar with.
It's the video game
version. The video game Humble Bundle, yes.
Humble Bundle is a site in which they managed to, I don't know how they would do it, but essentially what it is, it benefits all of us, in which they put together groupings of either video games, comics, books, what have you, of different themes, and you can really get quite a good deal on them. It is often like pay a certain amount, get a certain amount of books, video games, whatever. If you can give more, great, give more to help support creators, the people at Humble Bundle, supposedly or seemingly. But yeah, definitely go and check it out. It's a really great way to try out some stuff.
Yes,
for sure. If you're like, I don't know much about Dynamite, like, go check out the bundle and see if there's something there, because it's like you can get a nice deal on these things for sure. And it's digital, so it's not going to be, you don't have to worry about storing it.
That's true.
But it'll essentially be like, if you pay like $20, like, you'll get like 20 whatever, you know what I mean? Like, it's that kind of thing, and based on what you give depends on what you unlock and what you get. But it can be as little as, I think, like a couple bucks. It's true to get at, like, a couple of books.
Yeah,
so
and we're talking volumes here. These aren't like single issues.
Not like single issues, like
like you could finally read Ash versus the Army of Darkness, or a ton of Vampirella, or more than that, Green Hornet.
I think Red Sonja's
in there,
Well.
absolutely.
Like, so it's absolutely worth it to go and check it out. Like I said, like, it's one of those opportunities where it's like sometimes the price of something could be what prevents you from trying something new, because it's like, what, like, maybe I need to put those dollars towards something I feel more like I know about.
Yes.
But something like this gives you an opportunity
to branch out,
try new things, and maybe find a new favorite character.
Yeah. Madifer, happy Memorial Day, Silent Tiffany. Been catching up on back issues catalogs on ComicPop, hoping to see Rot World by Snyder and Lemire sometime. I don't see that happening anytime soon, but we'll be sure to. I'll put it on the list.
Right.
Thorn Identity, thank you very much, man. Good to see you again. Had to put them in storage after a big move out of our old house. They've been there since, but there are over 30,000 of them and not enough space in the current digs, but the collection will be free. There you go. Wow. That is nuts. That's 30,000 comic books.
Wow. Do you go and check on them?
You have to go check on them.
Right? You have to go check on them.
Yeah. Just don't let them crush you. I just had that visual of Skinner in his garage from The Simpsons, dealing with all those newspapers and then just being trapped under them.
No,
don't do that.
No,
but yeah, that's that. And there you go.
Oh, there we go. Over 20,000 pages for $20 for our 20th anniversary. That's what Nick said is what they're running.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you.
So it's like, but like that's incredible,
yeah,
guys. Like, listen, we all have like a reading stack, right? But it's like, maybe you want to try something new. Maybe like your favorite character right now isn't doing or isn't involved in a story that you're a fan of. Like, $20 will get you endless volumes of things. It's like worth it if you had any interest.
Absolutely. Getting back to Thorn, it's funny. I remember helping out a friend when he came back home and he was like, comic books. I used to collect them. They've just been sitting there for years. What do I do with these comics? So we ended up like cleaning out local comic book stores of their bags and boards, and then we just went into his basement, which was finished, so it wasn't like leaky or problem for these books. But we just put them all out on the floor and just started bagging and boarding and prioritizing and determining how much things were worth and deciding what was precious and what was not so precious. And eventually, before we knew it, we had like a long box full of unprecious books that could still make him some cash and help him with his business. And like, maybe that's something to consider, where it's like, if you have 30,000 books, grab a friend and, spend a weekend just going through your comics, or a piece at a time, maybe, and just being like, what do I need 30,000 comics?
I mean, you would say you do.
I mean, obviously I can't argue. That's true.
I mean, like a dollar bin for you is like,
it is how I determine if a comic book store's sale is successful or not. Batman Superman World's Finest number 27 from Mark Waid and Dan Mora. This is the continuation of the insane like 6-dimensional war. Hey, remember when Scott Snyder did that, the Justice League versus the 6th Dimension or whatever? Well, here it is again, but way more fun and with a lot more like actual continuity going on, because Mark Waid remembers this crap. But yeah, it is, Dan Mora's art is spectacular. Seeing all these different like 4th-dimensional or 6th-dimensional imps gravitating towards villains and making them amped up, and then seeing Superman and Batman being in 2-dimensional worlds and 6-dimensional worlds and whatnot it's a real treat. This book is and continues to be.
Batman just looks exhausted on the cover of this
issue. He is. He's just like, I can't even. But the greatest superhero in the universe is revealed in this issue, and it isn't who you would expect.
Is it Catmite?
It is no one on the cover.
I don't even know that's what she's called, but that's what she's called.
Right? She needs to be Catmite. I think so too. But it would be Cheetah, or it is a Catwoman. Is that what?
Catwoman.
Yeah. Because there was a Cheetah one, and I was trying to name her, and I was like, I can't. But yeah, man, it's just such a great book, and it looks amazing. But it's just a big, ridiculous slugfest of imps and heroes. So definitely check that
out. Fall of X number 5 came out this week. It's the end of Fall of X.
So you're saying this is a Fox 5? Remember Fox 5? Channel 5.
Oh, okay.
I grew up hearing that call sign my entire life. Fox 5.
Okay.
These
are written by Jerry Duggan with art by Lucas Wernick and Stefano Caselli.
Yay.
Yeah, Orcus is over.
Oh, good.
But that's obviously not what the problem is any longer.
No.
Like, Orcus is part of the problem.
Uh-huh.
And they're done.
Yep,
like
good.
We take care of Nimrod, we take care of the Omega Sentinel, but the Omega Sentinel's not dead.
Of course not.
Psylocke like lobotomizes her Sentinel brain, so just her human brain is left.
Oh,
and like she feels horrible because she knows what.
Yeah, what she did. Good. She knows what she did.
Yeah, Rogue's gonna kill her, and then like Psylocke's like, don't do that.
Don't do that.
She's like a person now. Don't do that.
Don't do that. You can do that in the cartoon.
Yeah, that's for later. Do that later. But like Nimrod literally almost like gets the drop on everybody, and like apparently he like ran a million, like he did like a Doctor Strange in the movies in the MCU and did like a whole bunch of scenarios. He ran it like a million times, and like at the end of the day, it was always like Cyclops who was left. It was always his beams that were able to crack his hull, and so like he evolved and he changed to make sure that wouldn't happen. And it's funny because later on, like when it is proved that he is incorrect, he's like, "Can you imagine? Like all that practice and I was wrong." It's Storm.
Yay!
Storm shows up and she brings the lightning and the thunder with her, and she just wrecks him.
They're mucking with a G.
What?
They're mucking with a G. It's for the Untouchables. The line is, "You called down the thunder. Well, now you got it." No, wait. I'm sorry.
Isn't that from Tombstone?
That's from Tombstone. No. Yeah, it is Tombstone. Wyatt Earp says that. Yeah. Well.
Wow.
The Untouchables does say you're mucking with a G, pal.
Okay.
So.
But essentially, like Nimrod is like in 3 places simultaneously, fighting against Magneto and Polaris, and then like Sync, and I think Emma Frost is there as well. You know what I mean? And then like
at least in spirit.
What?
No.
Emma Frost is there.
Okay, good.
She's diamond form. She's punching him.
Nice.
Like she's in there. She's getting her hands dirty. Everybody, all right? Like, come on. But yeah, like Storm's like lightning is able to go through all of his forms. There's a whole reasoning behind that. Don't worry about it. It is all
Read the book and you'll find out.
Read the book, find out. And Sync is able to like use her lightning, and like they simultaneously attack, and Magneto and Polaris. Like
Father-daughter.
It's really cute because like Polaris doesn't know, and so like when she hears his voice, she turns around, her eyes are like welled up a little bit, and he's like, "Come on, let's do this."
Yeah.
And she's like, "Okay,
okay, Daddy, let's go."
So they have like an epic father-daughter team up.
Nice.
Yeah, they're like, "Cool, we did it."
Good, yay.
And then Manifold gets them out of there. He's like, "All right, everybody, let's go.
Let's ride.
Let's here we go." Because Sentinel City, I think if they're on Sentinel City, is gonna explode. We gotta leave.
Yep.
I love this image too of like Stark Sentinels just falling out of the sky.
Yeah,
I was like, that's a problem.
That is a
That is
problem.
a hazard. I hope someone is dealing with that, but we don't have time.
Maybe
for
Iron
that.
Man in his own book.
We
or something.
don't have time for that because Professor X is still at Orcus, but like everyone's gone or dead or whatever. And Shadowcat and Kamala Khan attempt to like find him, and when they bust open the door, they don't see him because he won't let them because he's not done. And I'm like,
really? Because what did you do exactly? This is like when Leonard Nimoy at the end of that Simpsons episode with the monorail is like, my work is done here. And Barney's like, what do you mean your work is done? You didn't do anything.
That's, I think, what remains to be seen. And it really just depends on if we're going to do like like Xavier really has like just lost it.
Yeah.
Or like Xavier was like, I needed to play the villain. I think 100%. We just needed to we need to get to that point, right? Which we only have a few like more issues in between. It's like, I think it's like there's like
an Omega book or something.
No, there's like a Ms. Marvel book.
That's not going to be connected.
No, but like it's Fall of Ice. Like those are the things that are happening, and then it'll be like So those are the books that are coming out before we're all kind of wrapped up here for sure.
Yeah.
But anyway, Manifold doesn't like end up going where he thinks he is. He's like, where the hell are we? And you're Galactuca.
And they're like, you're the teleporter, man. You tell me.
He's like, well, that didn't go the way I thought it was. You ever Lactuca?
No.
Okay, Lactuca was one of the mutants from Araco who helped to form Mars.
Yes.
And like they pulled the group out of the way. They're like, listen, here's the thing, like Enigma's still out there and looking. And so like I've put you in a place where he can't see you.
Cool. Okay.
Essentially. So like, Scott, here's the thing, hun. Like it all comes down to Scott and Jean. Because it
always does.
Because we're doing like a classic X-Men thing, right? Like everybody gets a hand in it, but at the end of the day, what do we need to kill the Dominion? We need the Phoenix, right? And so we need Jean Grey to not be dead anymore.
Yeah.
And so like, Lactuca's like, I need you to understand, like at the end of the universe is like totally screwed unless your heart is able to like tip the scales. And he's like, got it.
Well, it will.
Cool. So they go back to Krakoa. Like, the Krakoa is seemingly okay for right now.
I was gonna say,
like the island being itself is okay.
Yeah.
And like Apocalypse shows up, they're like, you do this? He's like, yep. Remember they made and a lot of people died. Like Apocalypse killed people who or mutants who volunteer in order to help feed that. And they're like, he's like, great, you're all here. Your energies will also just help in general. So, we're going to be A-okay. And Scott's like, I got to go do something.
Mm-hmm.
So he reaches out,
with his mind
to Jean and is like, listen, like Lactuca said, it was like my heart, but like, you're my heart.
Yeah.
So like,
So like bird up and let's go.
Yeah, let's do this, babe. Come on. Get it going. Like, I know at the end of the day that like, you're going to hear me.
Yeah.
You're gonna be back.
Yeah.
That is a moment too, by the way. Like when Nimrod's gonna kill like Scott, he's got him. He's like got his back. He's holding like Scott by the neck, and he can't use his powers. And he's just like Scott like looks at Nimrod. And he's like, she won't let you do that. And he's like, she's dead. And he's like, oh, I wasn't talking about her. And it's Storm behind him.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah. But I'm like, so yeah, Jean.
Awesome.
Jean,
quick, put on your Sal's least favorite version of your costume and then get to work. I'm talking about the Marvel girl suit. I don't like the green dress.
Oh, I don't really.
I prefer the Jean, the Phoenix suit. I was like, that's it.
I don't mind. It doesn't matter. It's always green.
Unless it's that 90s suit from the cartoon.
Oh well, yeah.
Jim Lee.
I don't like that.
I don't like it either. I wasn't really a big fan of it. I like it more than the dress. I don't like I never liked the head sock ponytail combo.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Not a good look.
I also agree with a comment about like Laktuka and Eden Manifold's like dynamic. I totally agree. They just have a different connection. They're on a different wavelength than the rest of us, and they're like his respect of the universe itself and Laktuka's connection to it. I'm like, yeah, they those two can make it work.
Yeah.
I don't know how a floaty universe cloth can make that happen, but those two can make it work.
But they'll make it work.
I have, listen, new power couple coming our way.
This reminds me of the X-Men plots. It's this Reddit post from a long time ago.
Oh, hang on, really quick.
Oh, please, yes.
So
folks,
here's
this is it.
We got Wolverine number 50 that'll be coming out,
and that has nothing to do with
Krakoa. Nothing
Krakoa.
to do with it. That'll be the end of Sabretooth Wars. Rise of the Powers of 10. That I am 100% looking forward to. Cannot wait. That'll be May 29th. That should be coming out. So wait, no, that can't be right. These are probably all off.
No, they have to be off because of the holiday. Like the books that are coming out this week are not coming out on the 28th. They're coming out on the 29th.
No. I mean, like, because Wolverine 50 didn't come out.
It comes out tomorrow or in 2 days.
Well, they have it down as the 22nd.
God damn it. Well, when we get to our
recommendation to print before they had a chance to change.
We get to the recommendations.
So regardless, so Wolverine's coming out. Rise of the Powers of 10 are coming out. Ms. Marvel Mutant Menace number 4 will be coming out. And then X-Men 35 will be coming out.
Okay,
so
and that's it. That's gonna be the end.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm thrilled.
But yeah, that reminds me of.
No, I understand that they see themselves. Why doesn't no one understand my humor?
So ultimately, there are 10 basic X-Men plots. Apparently,
yeah.
Aliens ruin Scott Summers' day. The teenage female audience surrogate like Kitty or Jubilee or Armor does something really, really cool. Okay. Bigots ruin Scott Summers' day. Storm wrestles with her leadership position.
Okay.
Time travelers ruin Scott Summers' day. Everything connects back to Wolverine.
Okay, sure.
Literal demons rise up from hell and then ruin Scott Summers' day. Professor Xavier turns out to have done a really bad thing.
Oh, yeah, okay.
The other X-Men ruin Scott Summers' day. Or the Phoenix shows up, most likely to ruin Scott Summers' day.
Well, she's not ruining his day.
Not this time.
Not this time.
We got you. No way. Well, no way. Not this time. Not a chance. We got you. Superman number 14 from Josh Williamson and Rafa Sandoval. Big epic fight between Lobo and Superman, which is cut short by the other Zarnians, sucker punching him and then bringing him before Brainiac, who siphons off powers from the Kryptonians to make an evil female monster-eating version of Brainiac. Oh no. And what are they going to do about it? That's what happens. So the Rafa Sandoval art is fun and superheroic and a lot of like cool moments. I'm shocked and sad that the Zarnians are introduced so recently only to be dispatched so quickly. I'm also disappointed that Lobo fell in line with the Zarnians, like that he wasn't playing a long game. That was a disappointment. But Superman is Superman and Brainiac is Brainiac and he's doing his thing and, we'll see what happens. Obviously, some part of Cthulhu that he came from, which they actually reference, was destroyed in Justice League No Justice, that thing. Remember when that all mattered? And so they're like, hey, remember that? Well, there's a part of Brainiac's planet that still exists. He grabbed a piece of it like he does for everybody.
Right.
And I'm like, yep, that all lines up.
Okay.
So, fun fights, but ultimately Brainiac made a big female version of himself. Okay. All right. Well, we'll see how it goes.
We'll see how it goes. I read Ultimate Black Panther this week. Did you get a chance to read it?
I did not get a chance to read it. I'm sorry. I wish I had. But
this is written by Brian Hill with art by, I believe, Stefano Caselli.
You are correct.
And I had to catch up on this one. This is the reason why I didn't get a chance to read Ghost Rider, because I was like, oh, wait, I need to read the last issue because I did not get an opportunity to read that issue. And this book is still really, really cool. I think what I love, what I've realized reading those issues back to back is what I really enjoy about this book. Is the heroics paired with obviously a bit of God's mysticism, that type of thing, but it's also political intrigue.
Yes.
There's a lot of that going on.
Yes.
Well, they who's the spy?
Yeah.
With the third issue under having happened where, he, runs into Storm and in this issue goes and, kind of hangs out with them a little more and then returns.
Well, then there's that big reveal at the end. Yeah. Of this is Storm and yeah.
Oh, sorry. The last issue, they did their thing.
Yes.
He met Killmonger. They had a whole conversation there. And
that was great.
Storm's there. And then in this issue, it's like, hey, let's get the gang back together because, like, I think he's realized he's like, I don't even think I can trust most of the people in the room that I thought originally that I could trust. And I'm like, I'm not even sure you could trust the people you're in the room with right now. Like, so like Hill's doing a fantastic job of like keeping that intrigue up. It would be easy to just rip the Band-Aid off and tell us what's going on just to move on.
Absolutely.
But I love the fact that he's keeping it up and honestly adding more layers to it. Every time you think you have your footing, he's like, no, you don't. No, you don't. But you can see a little bit of the cracking of the veneer between like Ra and Khonshu.
Good. Okay. Because I want to see those characters.
They don't agree with each other necessarily. It's like,
sense.
Khonshu's kind of like, Ra, you're not doing this right. And he's like, no, I am though. I am. Like, I know what I'm doing.
Okay.
So like, I'm like, that's good, right? Like you need your bad guys to have that going in order to pick them apart. But no, this series is incredible. I really, really like it. As someone who has not been, a long time reader of Black Panther, opportunity, even though it is so different in terms of its history, because it is an Ultimate comic, I think it's a good opportunity for people who may not feel like, hey, I want to jump into like years and years and years of continuity for a character to see if it's a character that you enjoy. Like a lot of the hallmarks are here. And while certainly, it won't be quite the same because it's in a different universe,
right.
It could show you like, hey, I do like this character. Maybe I'll go check out some of the other books in the main continuity universe.
Wouldn't that be nice?
But yeah, I think this is incredible. And like I said, like
the art's great.
The art's great. Caselli's doing a fantastic job. I really like Hill's writing of the relationship between Okoye and T'Challa.
Yes.
Obviously the MCU has made me think that those two should be together 100%. And I'm giving it here only for him to throw like a wrench in the works when it comes to Storm like showing up and there being like a prophecy.
But she is with Killmonger, but yes, there is a prophecy.
There's a little something going on there. And so now I'm like, oh my gosh, what is happening?
Yeah.
Like, is Shuri good? Is she bad? I don't know. And I am living for this, like I said, like the intrigue. It is intrigue.
It is intriguing.
It's intrigue.
Yeah.
No, it is intrigue, just period. 100%. So if you have been sleeping on this Ultimate series, you're only 4 issues behind, go check them out. They're great. So good.
What's our book of the week?
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Did you read Blood Hunt?
Oh yeah, Blood Hunt. Oh my God, I forgot about Blood Hunt.
How could you forget about the Blood Hunt?
I don't know what my problem is. Jeez, Blood Hunt #2 from Jed MacKay and Pepe Larraz. Oh boy, what a smart idea to start poaching the X office for Marvel books outside of the X-Men world, because Pepe Larraz is just delivering. In fact, he delivers extra content for those Red Band issues, right?
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. There's a little bit of extra in the there's like panel changes certainly for the Red Band issue, and then there's also like an entire extra page of content in the Red Band issue. It doesn't really do much.
Nope.
But you do get an extra page.
Yes.
It is really well drawn. Like really,
and it's well drawn.
And there's occasionally like slight changes in dialogue to reflect the change in art.
Oh, cool! I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I've seen the comparisons. I saw like the alternate pages, and I actually honestly preferred the non-Blood Hunt, like the non-Red Band page.
Some of them I did, and some of them I don't. Like the Doctor Strange one, I was like, I don't really need that. But I also I didn't see the Red Band issue of the first one, so maybe it made more sense if you had the context of that.
Yeah.
But with this one, I was like, I really liked. Yeah, they're fine.
Yeah.
There's like in this book, there's like total background characters, like mom and her kids, and they're like in an alleyway, and they're like going to be eaten by vampires, but they're saved, right? By I think
Blade's daughter,
Bloodline. I think that's what her name is.
Does she actually have a superhero name? I just know her as Blade's daughter.
Yeah, it's like in the credits page.
Oh, I don't read that.
Oh my gosh, you got it. Well, Marvel does thanks to the X offices doing the little like lineups.
Yeah.
We got the little lineup. It's Bloodline, I believe.
Thank you.
Maybe I'm wrong.
Unless I'm wrong.
But like, they're like, oh no. And then in the Red Band version of it, it's like the two kids standing in the alleyway and mom is being ripped apart.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, the Red Band version of this, mom died.
Yeah, the mom dies.
Oh crap.
I guess they don't matter because
no, they're just background characters. They're real background characters. They do not matter.
Yeah.
Until some writer comes along and decides which one is the real one. But so it's like it's that kind of thing where I'm like, oh wow, that whole family dynamic just changed. Like you either created Batman of this universe or not.
Yeah. Right. The Blood Man because it's the Blood Hunt, which they actually name in this. Like in this issue, they called the Blood. You're like, oh no, the Blood Hunt's here.
Yeah,
what are we gonna do?
Yeah, they dropped the name.
And I was like, oh, they did it. They said the thing.
They totally did.
So with the thanks to your intrepid reporting and coverage of Jed MacKay comics, obviously everything's coming full circle because in order to really get an appreciation for like big two Marvel comic Jed MacKay books,
right,
you need to have read things that Jed MacKay has read. And in this case, Blood Hunt is a reward. You're rewarded for reading Jed MacKay by reading other things. In this, Blood Hunt, you are rewarded for having read everything that Jed MacKay has written for Marvel.
I guess. I mean, like, I feel like you're rewarded in that you maybe have a little more inside knowledge.
Certainly you care about who the characters are.
Sure.
Like if you're just I haven't read Marvel in a couple of decades and I'm interested in jumping into Blood Hunt. Sounds cool. I love the vampire angle. And then suddenly you see Hunter's Moon and Tigra and you're like,
okay, well, admittedly, yes, but you could also chalk that up to standard Marvel DC events where it's like, and then
you're gonna see some cool characters.
There's random characters. Why are they here? And like, how many times does that happen? Right. It's either it's a circumstance. I feel like if you're a comic reader, you're just kind of like, okay.
Right.
Especially because the beginning of these books do have, like I said, like that credits page. So it gives you a little context.
It gives you a little context.
Little context.
Yeah, that's fair.
Little context.
You get to know who the players are.
Chart. You get a little chart. You're like, here's the chart.
Yeah. I didn't look at the chart. I forgot about the chart.
You got to check the chart, man.
I know. You're right.
It is because you're not in the House of X.
That's really what it is. I wasn't conditioned by X-Men to do it. Yeah.
But there's also, of course, like the little wrap up of the previous issues, or
and maybe even the tie-ins that tell you like what you need to know.
Right. Honestly, this feels like what I really liked about this particular issue was that all the characters simultaneously who are going to be like the main players seem to be building up towards that.
Yes.
At least is that it's like, hey, let's go see Doctor Strange.
Right. Yeah, we should just go to Doctor Strange's house. And I love them. And it's good conversations. They're really fun interactions. I love the character interactions and stuff like that. I like Miles is in this for a minute.
Yep.
And I love them going, oh, Spider-Man. I know who that is.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Jeez, everybody else, I'm like, I don't even know what the hell's a Hunter.
But it's Miles, which I love.
Miles.
And I love that Miles doesn't know where Doctor Strange is.
Yeah, he's like, I don't come here. I don't go to the village.
Yeah, and I love the Hunter's Moon's like, I didn't know where it was either.
Yeah.
Like, hey, it's okay.
Don't worry about it.
And
I'm new too.
That's a big thing for him to admit that.
Yeah, I really like Hunter's Moon though.
Hunter's Moon is not that kind of guy to be like, hey, let me help you out. Man.
And it's not inconsistent because Jed MacKay created the damn character.
I know.
But I loved Hunter Moon being like, listen, give me a break, okay? I'm new.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yes, you literally are.
I'm very new.
You also get the heat, and it's just like things seem hopeless. We see them building their teams or their crews. We also get to see the Blood Coven. I believe that's what they're called.
Yeah, they show up. With Bloodstorm 1 in particular, where they're just like, hey, like Dracula's like, you're my clone. I was like, thank you. Okay.
Oh,
cool.
Well, I didn't know that.
Fantastic.
Thank you for telling me.
If you read the Red Band version, his face, what he has on his face is actually a mask. He takes that off to reveal that he has like a bat face.
But why would that be deleted? Wouldn't I need to know that?
I don't know if you need to know that. It's just something extra. If you read the Red Band,
extra.
That's what's under there.
If you read the X-Men, if you read the Red Band, he's a bat guy.
He's got a little bat face. But he has a conversation with Carol because as like some of our characters, or at least Dracula and Bloodline, run into the Blood Coven because they are after Bloodline. They're after Brielle.
Yes.
And the
surviving Avengers arrive.
Surviving Avengers arrive, and they're ready. They're like, hey, you might have trounced us last time, but we have learned, we have adapted, and we're ready to go. And they have a plan, and it's a solid plan. I love this.
It's a good plan. It was nice
to be a part of it.
It was nice to see it actually succeed. So I see the Avengers do something useful.
Right. And I mean, like, that is a thing I have noticed sometimes with some of the MacKay characters that he'll create. He's just like, I don't care. I'll knock some of them off. It's fine. Who cares?
Yeah.
Who gives a crap about these guys?
Am I right?
That's for sure. No, he does though. But it's during a conversation with Carol that Bloodstorm 1 takes it off and says, like, this is the fate of humanity. So that's all he's doing.
Okay, all right.
Like, I look like a big bat, and it's just like, hey, listen, I'm not gonna critique you for that. I'm not gonna give you a hard time, judge you for having a bat face. But if I were a clone of Dracula, if I was a clone of Dracula and I ended up looking like a bat person, I'd be a little upset.
Yeah, because he's got like all these great, awesome powers, and one of them is becoming a bat, but not constantly being a bat.
Right, but like, Dracula could be like a beautiful man.
Yeah, or Mist.
Like, but like, I'm a bat. I'm like a bat.
I'm only a bat. Like, yeah.
The way I'm not a bat is I put a mask on.
Right? It's not fair. Yeah, I agree.
We also we kind of take care of a character that was a real problem.
Yeah, he was
for
a real
the
problem.
team. They take care of the Megrum by like carnaging him.
Yeah, we carnage him.
Or
Well,
century
or
him, or however
yeah,
we want to say it.
or we like end of the Matrix Revolutions him.
Sure.
We break through the sky and just push him in front of the sun and go like enjoy
Vision,
this.
Vision takes care of it.
It's great.
That's also one of those ones where the panel of oh my god, wait, hang on. No, I guess not. The panel of Vision taking Megrum up there, I really like it. It's really cool, kind of beautiful looking.
Yeah.
It becomes like a cool like red mist. You're like, oh no. That's one of the changed ones. It's more up in your face.
Oh,
like you
like,
just see it becoming a skeleton.
Okay.
And I was like, that's not really old. That's not as horrific as like the mom's intestines being like out of her body and like being consumed, or like Doctor. It's a lot of intestine stuff.
Yeah.
Like they're like, whoa, that's the red band. Is your
Yeah.
intestines?
Oh
And I'm
no,
like,
except for that one issue of friggin' Siege when the Sentry rips friggin' Ares in half
well,
and
we're not-
all of his intestines blast at the
Excuse me,
screen.
we're not doing that though, okay?
No power. McKay does not have the Bendis power of being able to do whatever the hell he wants to.
Right. But yeah, the Avengers
avenge.
triumph. They Carol's like, we're doing awesome. I love that Vision comes back down and he's like, I am filled with the sunlight now. So back off, everybody. And we're like, oh, cool. Got a little like hope in the darkness here. Carol uses her powers to blast through the darkness shield that is enveloping the world / New York / something. And they stand triumphantly for a photo that no one will take. The Avengers plus Dracula and Brielle.
Yep.
And then like they're like ready to go. They're ready for round 2. They're gonna end this, but the villains retreat.
Yep,
they
run away.
Oh, we'll be back and we'll be better next time.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna play for keeps.
Okay.
The Avengers go to Doctor Strange's house. Doctor Strange's like, hey, I'm a ghost. Well, you'll figure it out why in a second.
You'll see why.
It's just in the other room. Don't worry about it.
Just like they have him like a suspended animation, like or in a suspension.
And
he's just like he's vampired out, and it's really fun to see. The art is so good in this book.
It's really great looking. I honestly do love it. There's a lot of actually fantastic coloring happening.
Oh
in this book.
I assume it's Monte Gracia, but yeah,
they're just really embracing the darkness of the situation they have, which I love. But Brielle's like, oh man, I know Spider-Man, I know Miles.
Yeah.
Like, hey, like that's cool. And then like he has this moment where he utters like the same 3 letters that we saw Black Panther utter earlier, because he's also a vampire now.
Yes.
Vampire problems.
Uh-oh.
And he rips his mask off and he's a vampire.
Miles the vampire now.
But like he's in a room full of heroes, so I feel like and at least one magic user.
Right. And can you imagine if the situation was reversed?
Oh, if he's in a room full of vampires. A room full of vampires.
My favorite character.
A room full of vampires.
But yeah, Blood Hunt. It's
I freaking love this, and like
it's dope.
This is what like we did. I think Monsters Unleashed was also like a summer series.
Yeah.
And while this isn't technically the summer, this is exactly what I want. Like I love this. I'm glad this isn't a Halloween one because it's way more action packed.
Yeah.
And again, like Laraz's art is just next level. I really like it. Some folks, I remember like thinking they didn't like it quite as much. I feel like the second issue really shines. And again, like the colors, who's doing the colors on this?
Marta Gracia.
100%. Just looks so good. Just really playing with it. And I do like have to, take my hat off, but I'm not really going to to the editors of this book who have to edit essentially 2 different versions of this book. Like, that's not easy. So love it.
That's true.
Love it.
So what's our book of the week? What's your book of the week for today, Tiffy?
Oh, man. I don't know. What's your book of the week?
I mean, I think I gotta give it to Hellblazer Dead in America.
No,
Helen Winhorn.
How dare you? It's funny because like I really do like Blood Hunt quite a bit.
Yes,
it's vampires, cool. It's fun. There's there's intrinsically something Marvel about vampires.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why.
Oh, because Stanley has always wanted to have Stanley desperately wanted to have Dracula be a Marvel character. Like vampires are intrinsic in Marvel's DNA.
Yeah, like it's just like for me, it's just so tied to that. Yeah, so like I do love this. I think it's a gorgeous looking book. I had a lot of fun with Justice League versus Godzilla versus Kong.
Yeah, and it's the end.
Yeah, Fall has X wrapped up, which was phenomenal as
Mhm.
well. But I mean, guys, you know how much I love Hellblazer. Oh,
Yeah.
and Ultimate Black Panther
It's great.
just continues to be a book that I was like, I'm gonna read the Ultimate books. I didn't think I'd be as like caught up and interested in the plot of what is happening in Ultimate Black Panther the way I am, because I knew I was gonna be like, I gotta read Spider-Man, right? And I do like that
Mhm.
book. I knew I was gonna love X-Men, but like Black Panther was one of those ones where I was like, this is just like this just hit all the right levels.
Notes. Yeah.
But it definitely has to be. I'm sorry, guys.
That's fair.
It is.
I'm
John
gonna give
Constantine, Hellblazer, Dead in America, number five.
5. Yay! I gotta give it to Blood Hunt. I think Blood Hunt number 2 is my favorite book of the week.
It's so
it
good.
was great. It was fun.
Even though you forgot it.
I did. I forgot it existed, and I still liked it more than everything else that I read. But I think it's great. I think it's just the art's top tier. Like Blood Hunt is what Avengers books used to feel like.
Yes. Yeah.
Like on a regular basis. They didn't need to wait
We're having
for an
like
event.
this big event that's going on, but like because it's McKay, he's really trying to keep it within the books that he has hands on, which I
Yeah.
appreciate. Like there are tie-ins,
Like it's happening to the world,
and I
but
did not get a chance to read Union Jack the Ripper.
no.
I kind of wanted to. I just didn't
I know
get an
you did,
opportunity, but yeah, like
Yeah.
Mhm.
Before we get into our recommendations and then into our conversation that wraps up this episode, Snake Walker says, "Hi, watching the videos over the years, we've been able to get a peek into Sal's childhood experience with comics. Any insight into Tiffany's early relationship with the medium?"
There really wasn't any early.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. Listen, like a peek at like childhood, like there were definitely like expectations of like what was for girls versus what was not for girls. And sometimes when you do that to a person, they go hard the opposite way when they get the opportunity to do that. So, like, oops.
Yeah. Yeah. You were denied like video games and comic books.
I don't know if comics was even like on the table. I don't know if that was like,
I'm sure they didn't even consider it.
Like what?
Yeah.
What? I don't think I ever saw a comic book store like where I lived. Like there's just no, there wasn't anything like that. So yeah, no, there's nothing like that. But like, when you're like watching TV and like there's like, like repeated episodes of like
the Batman miniseries
and like X-Men and stuff like that. And you're like, whoa, what is this? Superman, Justice League, stuff like that. It's like,
and you watched all of those things.
Yeah. And it's like somehow they're comic books, but you don't know how you could ever get them. You don't know how you could ever see them. And so like then to have access to them and to have some of your first books be as serious as they were, like whether it be 1602 or Dark Knight or Preacher or All-Star, Superman, it's it sets you up to desire certain things. So yeah, anyway.
Zach Nelson, I took a long hiatus from comics after Super Sons canceled by the John Age Up. What would you recommend for someone who loves Calvin and Hobbes and Sandman? Thanks for sharing your comic wisdom. He also said, I have some Gold Keys comics. How do you value your comics when you don't live in a city with a local shop and have to get a good deal on them? I would never use a local shop to determine how to sell your comic books or what their value is, because they're always going to undercut you. The trick is you go to eBay, you type in the comic book you want to sell. You only search by what has sold, not what it's listed for. You search, you can actually filter your eBay searches by what comics were actually sold for or what purchases were made. You then make your decision based on that. You can also compare it to mycomicshop.com. You can type in the comic and see what it's selling for there. But for the most part, I would use eBay. That's what a lot of sellers and collectors do. As far as people who like Calvin and Hobbes and Sandman, honestly, you know what I recommend? It's not a book I'm reading, but I think if you liked Calvin and Hobbes, because Calvin and Hobbes was a comic strip. It doesn't speak to comic books. In fact, Bill Watterson hated them, but hates them today. He's not dead. But the Flash, the Cy Spurrier Flash book, because of the Ramon Perez art and the Sandman influence.
Yeah, okay.
It has that element of like, it's the fun of superheroes. And
I was gonna say Strange Academy.
Strange Academy is a great book. Yeah,
because there's a little more youthfulness.
Yeah, but it doesn't feel like Calvin.
No,
it's just so different.
I know, but I was going from the Super Sons element.
Oh yeah, if you like Super Sons, yeah.
What's this like after Super Sons?
That's true. Yeah, if you like Super Sons, then you might love Strange Academy. Yeah, that's fair. As far as but like Yeah, Calvin. But if you're looking for Sandman stuff, I mean, Tiffany's your go-to for those kinds of things. I mean, if you like Sandman, you've got to be reading the current Hellblazer run,
right? Or the one before that, but that's not Calvin.
That ain't Calvin,
as you know.
Yeah.
By the way, I saw some folks. Trust me, I had the same question about Dracula, and in Blood Hunt with the sunlight, and like, how does that work?
Yeah.
Right. And then I was like, I thought I remember there being something about how that's not a problem for him any longer, and I just looked it up, and it's like, yes, Dracula used to be unable to withstand the exposure of the sunlight, but
well, didn't he take his powers in Blade or something?
Well, no, he transferred after transferring Wolverine's blood to his body. Dracula got rid of that specific weakness.
Okay,
apparently.
cool. All right, there you go.
So we think he's good.
All right. My duck hates sweaters. I here Image found a box of Frank Miller Spawn Batmans, and they're for sale at local comic shops for $6. Please do Milk Wars by Gerard Way on back issues. We almost did Milk Wars on back issues, but based on, we were working with DC at the time when Milk Wars was coming out, and even they were like, everything's on fire. Milk Wars was the biggest mistake of our entire lives. So I were like, nah, let's not. But maybe. I mean, that'd be fun. I could see that. I mean, I would love to see that episode. Yes, the Spawn Batman issue that is written by Frank Miller with art by Todd McFarlane. Diamond found a whole box of them, and you can just buy them directly through Previews World at your local comic book store. I did. $6. The highest grade possible. They were just literally just sitting under something. Amazing. Jay Sage, love the channel, guys. Have a great Monday and a great week. You too.
Well, thank you. You too.
Dante Cook, thank you very much for your generosity. Hey, Comic Pop family, just wanted to stop in and say hi and hope your weekend went well. I haven't seen Furiosa, nor have I read my copy of Wonder Woman. I don't want spoilers, so I'll catch you on the rerun. We'll catch you then.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, man. Doc, Blood Hunt is my first Marvel Supernatural book, and I like it. I want to read more, but I don't know where to start. Do you have any suggestions?
Oh, that's interesting. Blood Hunt being there. I mean, like, you could go back and pick up some of the everything that led up to, like, with like Darkhold and stuff like that. Like Blaze and I'm like, like during like the 90s.
Oh, yeah.
Like Doctor Strange.
The Darkhold.
Yeah, I said that.
I'm sorry.
Ghost Rider, like all of that. Why can I never remember Spirits of Vengeance, all that stuff? Because every time I think of it now, because we did Spirits of Venom, I'm like, because it's such a dumb name, makes me so mad.
It's the coolest.
Additionally, check out Werewolf by Night, the book that just came out with Elsa Bloodstone in it. And if you like Blood Hunt, I know it's like not going to be quite as Marvel mystical, but you might enjoy the Monsters Unleashed event that happened.
What?
Okay.
Oh, Jed McKay's Moon Knight book.
Oh, well, yeah, Jed McKay's Moon Knight. You can also check out, obviously, any Doctor Strange, for sure. But I'm trying to think more like, the idea of like the team, because there is something intrinsic about like them teaming up, right? Them coming together.
Yeah, the Midnight Suns, stuff like that.
Midnight Suns, yeah. That's what I always call Spirits of Vengeance. I make that into Midnight Suns.
Well, because there are two of them, right? Because there's the Midnight Suns and there's the Spirits of Vengeance. Spirits of Vengeance, yeah.
But I make it that because I'm like, no, they are vengeancing.
Yeah.
But like Midnight Suns for sure has that a lot of that energy, but it's older. It's definitely a little older.
Yes. And it's not really collected a lot.
Yeah. If you like something like I just mentioned before, Strange Academy, it's a little younger.
Yes.
But has a lot of fun, good energy in it. And it's not super like just like, oh hey,
it's not cutesy.
It's not cutesy. It has its moments, but it does have like some heavy hitting emotional stuff in there.
I agree. Kevbot, thank you very much for generosity. Hello, dropping in to say hi, and thanks for always keeping me up to date with things in the comics world. Sal, have you read Batman First Night? Found the first and second issues recently. Love the story and art so far. I think so.
I know you have at least one of the issues.
Yeah. Is that the oversized? Yes. I have not read issues 2 and 3, but I have them. I like it. I think it's great. It's very wordy for no reason, but I love it. I think it's really good, but I'll have to read that.
Like I have, was it White Ship at home?
You have White Ship.
I totally forgot it was sitting there.
Yeah.
Totally forgot.
So before we get into our recommendations, Tiffany and I went to the movies yesterday and we saw a movie called Furiosa, a Mad Max Saga. It is in theaters now. It just dropped a couple days ago, and it's bombing at the box office. Huge, massive failure. And also, 10 years ago was when Mad Max Fury Road came out, and this movie apparently was supposed to be shot pretty much back to back with it, and then Miller didn't do it, and so now we have it now.
I would have liked to have been in that world.
Yes. George Miller returning to the Mad Max Saga world to do this prequel to Mad Max Fury Road, featuring the Furiosa character, unfortunately no longer played by Charlize Theron, this time played by Anya Taylor-Joy, and the younger lady who also portrayed Furiosa as often as Anya Taylor-Joy, Alila Brown. Alila Brown?
Alila?
Yeah, Alila Brown sounds good. But yeah, I want to, before we get into it, say that there's a Variety article that has a horrible title, and it's because I think Variety is in the pocket of big Hollywood, and Hollywood wants you to be normalized by the idea of like AI. But Variety said, like, thanks to the use of AI, Anya Taylor-Joy and Brown were, they made the young person look like Anya Taylor-Joy. But that's not the case. They didn't use AI. They used digital trickery the same way that they use any digital trickery when it comes to like CG. And but they morphed her face to look. Alila Brown was morphed as the movie progresses to look more like Anya Taylor-Joy's Furiosa as she gets older throughout the movie. So that's just what they do, and they've been at it forever. But they I think that Variety said AI so that with a beloved or with a fan favorite movie like this, or with a fan favorite genre like this, so that it would try and normalize the like stigma, trying to soften the stigma that people have for AI, especially artists and people in the who appreciate work made by human beings. Stupid, and it hurt the movie, but the movie's already been hurt, so who cares? But anyway, what'd you think? I saw Mad Max Fury Road in the theaters. It was a outrageously awesome experience, and you didn't.
Yeah.
And you still haven't.
I've never seen Mad Max Fury Road.
So this is your experience seeing this prequel to Mad Max Fury Road without any context for Fury Road outside of seeing a trailer.
I don't think I saw a trailer for this
There you
movie.
go. No. For Mad Max Fury Road.
Oh yeah.
Like you knew what the world looked like.
Yeah. No, I'm aware of that. I knew nothing. I was like, this is a very solitary experience, or I'm seeing a movie I know nothing about.
Yeah.
And so like I was like, am I gonna be lost? A little bit. I feel like people who maybe knew a little bit more about it had a little more insight as to what was going to happen. But there's definitely a moment in this movie that happens that I was like, I had no idea that was going to happen.
Yes,
like,
it's okay to say it. I think everyone knows based on.
I didn't even see the. Okay, so number 2, I didn't see the poster for it either. We just walked past it. Like I wasn't even looking, right?
Yeah.
So like when she loses her arm, I didn't see that coming. I was like, what?
Yeah. Whoa!
I can't put that back on.
No.
Yeah, so I think I liked this. Like I didn't know what the structure of this movie was going to look like, and it wasn't quite it was more Tarantino in the fact that it used chapters,
which is not what they did with Fury Road.
Okay, totally fair.
Just like it's a very different movie. Like they're very different portrayals. Like Fury Road is essentially one action sequence, for like 2 hours.
Yeah. So like this movie, it's funny because it's like this is clearly doing a lot of world building. So it's funny. Like I will never be able to watch Fury Road the way I probably should have seen it, which was to just see it.
Well, some would say
that all of this baggage now.
Well, I think that some would say you'd be more prepared to see Fury Road. Like now you're gonna be like, oh yeah, well, it's the dude with the weird nose. It's Scrotum or whatever his name is. Like, look at that.
Rectus and Scrotus.
Yeah, because Scrotus is in Fury Road.
Oh, is
so's the nipples guy with the gold nose.
Yeah.
And of course, Immortan Joe. But of course, the guy who played Immortan Joe is dead. But this guy is alive.
Well, yeah. Okay, sure. So because of the fact that like I saw a trailer for that, I was like, well, I know like 2 things. One, the main character
Furiosa
is not gonna die, and I don't think that guy is gonna die. But everything else, I was like, I don't know what's gonna happen. But yeah, the clearly this movie was trying to do a couple of things. It was like, I want to highlight this character, but I also really, 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 really want to establish some history to some of the characters from the other movie, and maybe a little bit more of the political or like day-to-day.
Yes.
Like weirdly the day-to-day, which is obviously not like our day-to-day, where it's like, I go to my job and like, I like have to do soul crushing work and make conversation and then I go home. It's not quite the same day to day for them, but it definitely was like a little more about that. It's like, okay, let's learn about, where
Everything
Joe,
comes from, yeah.
like what he does, like
Yeah, this is how Joe
like
communicates and runs his empire.
and
And
like what is the empire, and like how are they able to support themselves? And it's like, well, because of these things, and don't think too hard about it.
right, like if you want to know like how do they make these cars? You asked a question in the movie literally where you said like, so, and it's funny because it's actually from like an old Patton Oswalt bit from like 100 years ago, where Patton Oswalt's like people like his local news reporter saying like, it's a movie called Mad Max about people who have no gasoline but they're driving around in cars. I don't like it. No stars. But like in this movie, there's all these people driving around, and you're like, isn't there supposed to be no gasoline? And then suddenly they go to Gastown, and you're like,
no, I was not like that, because that wasn't my problem. The group that I asked the question of had no access to that.
Right. You were like, how come they
didn't even know it existed.
No, they did.
No, he didn't. He didn't know what the Citadel was, and he didn't know.
No,
where
he didn't.
it was.
No, but he did know what Gastown was.
He did not know what Gastown.
They do, because they know it in the other movie. Like everybody knows what Gastown is. That's where you get the gas from.
I don't think Dementis knew about Gastown necessarily.
He definitely knew about Gastown.
But anyway, yeah, like I still don't buy that they were able to, like, people use gas in this movie, like, like it's like an endless resource.
It's plentiful, yeah.
Like, oh yeah, no, we got no problem. It's fine.
It's
like let's just ride in circles. And I'm like, what are we doing?
They do drive in circles a lot. Like they spin out in donuts for no reason. But it is, you know what? No, the reason is because it looks freaking dope. And that's why a lot of things happen.
I know. And that's fine. Like I recognize too that, like, I remember the first movie was like touted as having a lot of like in-camera effects. And
this
so
one,
like
not so much.
No, but there were, like, there are people riding on things, and there are, a lot of sand and stuff, and like people are doing things, but there are also other effects in it. So I was trying to pay attention to that, but it's like clear that like Chris Hemsworth wasn't allowed to do certain things.
Yes.
Like they're like, well, he needs to drive a truck at a gate, and like obviously we're not going to actually have him do that, but like we're not even allowed him to drive the truck.
Yeah, no, we're just going to have him sit in a green screen holding a wheel, and we're just going to put that in later.
Yeah. So,
I think that also, the thing is, there are other things that you also remarked on that are also very glaring. Like there was a lot of sped up effects.
A lot of sped up effects, and at times, like it seemed like, obviously, listen, you can't ask stunt people to be like, I need you to travel as fast as like they should.
I need you to drive 90 miles per hour in the Dune.
I love the fact that we are taking care of stunt people. They risk their lives every day to do these crazy things and make it look incredible and impressive, and like and
you may die, but it's worth it.
But but we don't want that. Like, no, they're artists and they're incredible, right? So it's like, obviously speed it up a little bit, but sometimes it was like sped up in a way where I'm like, why are we doing this? And why are we doing this so obviously, right?
Yeah.
And then later on it's used for an effect, and I'm like, no, see, it works here for the context for this character. So it was weird. There's like some really strange choices in this movie in terms of effects at times.
Right. And I think, it's funny because apparently there's a ton of CG in Fury Road. I've seen like some of those effects being like used, like where we can't drive all those cars right next to each other. So like we drive the car, we shoot it, we add it later, we add all the cars in one spot. Like, but the point being, the way in which we saw like Chris Hemsworth's like protection, his bubble from the elements, plus the sped up effects, plus like the people in makeup or the CG or the or the wire work, it all adds to this element of grindhouse filmmaking.
Yes,
that is so woefully underutilized today, and it's the kind of thing that like they just don't do. And it's not that like it's not like they need to, but I admire the genuine desire to see it, and it's like, even though I am Schrodinger's hypocrite when it comes to like, I think that it's really, really reductive and it's not necessarily contributory to the culture when it's like, why did they do that? Because it like looks cool, like because I'm all style and I have no substance. But also I really admire when things are done because it's like, I don't care about anything other than it looking really cool, or about getting an action sequence done because that's how I tell my art. Like there's a lot of talking in this movie, but you can tell that George Miller's language is visuals. He is telling a story that like you could like there's going to be a black and white version of this movie that he's already got, and I'm like, no, the color is paramount to this movie.
I think I want to see that.
That's fair.
I think I would enjoy it.
I like the color. I think you could silence the movie. Like not the sound effects, but like you could cut everyone's dialogue from this movie and you still get the movie. Like I'm in for just no one talking in the whole movie.
I don't know.
I mean, Dementus definitely needs to talk because that's like all he is. But like you could have him like doing all this, and then you just have like a silent movie-esque like truncation of what he says. Like, give me your gas, like just that. I feel like the Miller wants to tell the story using the camera, and that's it. And I'm like, and I really respect the crap out of that. But yeah, it's cool. And it's so that said, the way that this story unfolds is incredibly different from the previous iteration, but also it supports this character in a really successful way. I think the Furiosa story is like,
you know what it is? It's like there are things that I was actually more interested in that we just chose to not do. The pacing on this movie is bizarre.
Yeah.
It's bizarre. I'm sorry. It's very strange to me. It felt a little bit like it would have been a better series.
Yep.
Over a movie. I do think that maybe
it's a little long.
I have nothing against Anya Taylor-Joy.
I think she's great.
I think she's fantastic. I just like Charlize Theron.
Yes.
A little better.
Well, it's more like you love you've seen more things of Charlize Theron, and she's great.
Yes.
And you're gonna love her as Furiosa in the next movie.
Okay.
But I also really love Anya Taylor-Joy, and I appreciate the decision to recast because that's what they used to do. As opposed to like making Charlize Theron do this movie and then putting like this awful CG veneer over her face. You know what I mean? Like I really didn't want that.
Right.
Plus, apparently no one likes making these movies because it's a grueling slog. And so it's like, Theron's an actor and a professional and she would have done it, but like, don't make her do it again.
Right. I mean, like, listen, there are things that happen and it's silly and they're like, they're done for just reasons.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like it's all like,
I'm just looking.
It's for effect. And like, I know that, like, I like me a ridiculous.
Oh, just a big,
like, action.
Spectacular sequence.
Yeah. But like, it really wanted to have more of a plot and it tried at times. And then I don't know, it would lose its way occasionally. And then when it did, it was like, what? Cars.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, look at how cool this is. And I'm like, admittedly, yes.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, like this movie, it's 2.5 hours long. It felt like 3.5 hours. Not necessarily in a negative, and I don't necessarily mean that in a negative.
Yeah.
But I felt it. Like I felt the runtime.
I felt it, but I occasionally, if you notice, I was checking my watch.
Yeah.
It wasn't because I felt the runtime, although I did, inevitably. It was because I was like, Anya Taylor-Joy is in this movie, correct?
She will be in the rest of this movie because we've been watching for an hour and 20 minutes and she has not appeared, although she has occasionally because we are changing the other actor's face gradually as the movie progresses into Anya Taylor-Joy. Yeah. Eventually that actor will appear though. No, but I was like, this really like it, you could cut. I don't know what you would cut because I liked everything I saw.
Oh no,
but it was a little long.
It was a little long, and actually, I think the reason it feels long though is because of the fact that they cut stuff. I think if it was slightly longer, you wouldn't notice it.
You probably wouldn't because it would just transition better.
It would transition better because there was definitely a couple of moments that I was like, I feel like there's more to this, and you took it out.
Yeah,
and I'm noticing that now. And so then when we come back to it, I was like, okay,
yeah,
what?
Yeah,
what?
Everybody in the movie is great. I don't know anyone who was a weak point. Everybody really just did it. I mean, everyone in this movie is a cartoon character, but but everybody commits and they deliver. There's no weak point in this movie.
100%. Like you think for a second that Hemsworth is like chewing the scenery, and then you're like, nope, that's just the character.
But who would be?
Right. I mean, we're just saying like it's not like he is being a character. He is embracing and embodying that character.
Yes.
And I recognize like at the end of it, I was like, this is like, I don't know this for a fact because I don't know any Aussies. But like I do. Well, I don't know him personally, and I don't talk to him on the regular. But
neither do I.
I feel like Mad Max is like it's an Australian movie. It's about there. It's it has ties to Australia for sure. So I could 100% see Hemsworth being like,
I have to be in this.
I have to be in. I want to be.
Like if George Miller is making a Mad Max movie again, and he's like 80 years old, I have to do it. As the new Australian icon, Chris Hemsworth,
Yeah.
you know, Hollywood icon, I want to pay it forward. I mean, him and Hugh Jackman, although, what the hell, Hugh?
Yeah.
You could have been Immortan Joe. But yeah, Chris Hemsworth nails it. He's amazing.
Yeah.
I think he's
No,
fantastic.
he is.
He's not afraid to wear prosthetics. I mean, obviously, it's like post-fat Thor. He's like, yeah, I'm happy to change my appearance. But like, I was more interested in seeing him do this than in anything besides like Thor.
Oh, sure.
You know, when he's doing Extraction or whatever. I'm not here for that. I'm here because I think he's a good character actor, and I think he could do it, and he did. And
He's
he
having
nailed
fun.
it. Like,
He's
yeah, and his character is interesting and fun and real. Like,
He's-
not real. Like, I believe that this character exists in the world,
right.
but he's a character.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I had heard, or I don't know where I heard it from. It could have been just my extrapolation, but I thought I heard before I even saw a frame of this movie in promotions that Chris Hemsworth was going to. This movie was going to be like Furiosa, Immortan Joe year one. That it was going to be that, like, we're going to watch Chris, because I was like, I get it, that's funny. You have this beautiful man who eventually is reduced to this big, weird, creepy, gross, like mojo looking guy who wears a thing over his face. So yeah, you could actually say like Chris Hemsworth is in there in like, you know, in like the 10 years that follow, right?
Sure.
But I like it better that he is his own character, because like he's set against him, and there's that great shot of like the two of them, of like Hemsworth and Immortan Joe like looking at each other, and it's like just they couldn't be more different in terms of like antagonists. And yet like their own distinct version of an antagonist. And I was like, that's fun. Like, and it's okay. Like, you know, some people, like, everybody needs their villain to be Thanos, where it's like they're relatable and that you might kind of get where they're coming from. Like, you could sell the villain of the movie was right t-shirts. But at the end of the day, you know, they're going to be stopped. And that's not what this is. It's just he's always like one bad day away from his own people eating him. Yeah, because he's such a terrible leader.
Oh, but he wants it.
He's so charismatic, and he thinks like, yeah, he's. There's a lot here.
But he wants chaos. It's like, you know, there's something about like, I don't know. There's something about him in this wasteland, in this world. Like, it's not like he's been waiting this for forever, but it's like, it happened.
Right. Finally.
So screw it.
Yeah. Like, he is the kind. I said he wasn't real. If America fell into anarchy, there would be like 100 characters like this, where people who are like, I've been waiting for a chance to like be in charge.
Right.
And I have and society doesn't give rewards to people like me. Like, it wouldn't, society as it's structured wouldn't let me be in charge. And you can see why when I am.
Right. You know what didn't help is that I thought this movie was really fun. The more I think about it, I'm like, I enjoyed this movie.
Yeah.
It's just that it's like 3 movies at once.
Totally is. It's like 3 different movies
it's
at the same time.
It's the Furiosa story about her trying to get home.
Yes.
But like, apparently if I had seen the other movie.
Well, I was wrong. I was wrong about something about that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, you tell me later.
I forgot.
But like, so, you know, you got Furious trying to go home. You have Immortan Joe versus Dementis.
Dr. Dementis.
Yeah, Dr. Dementis. And then you have like this other movie that obviously I kind of want to see.
Yeah.
And it's the Praetorian Jack movie.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I love that they introduced Praetorian Jack because it helps to show that there are some good people in this world, and like to give you a character that is like Mad Max without putting Mad Max in this movie.
Yeah.
You're like meant to make that mental leap. But at the same time, I'm like, but I'm kind of way more interested in like how he got this job and what it's like to do this job.
And what he does with the job, like, and how he manages.
Like,
yeah.
How did you get involved with Immortan Joe?
Right.
Why are you here? You have a crew?
How come you're not gross looking? Like, why? Yeah. Why are you? Why do you get to maintain autonomy? You know? Yeah. But it also feels, it's funny because like I don't like the Mad Max movies very much. Like, I'm not a big Mad Max person. It wasn't until Fury Road that I actually enjoyed one. I've seen them and I'm just like, yeah, no,
Oh, hang on. I have to caveat something. I have seen Thunderdome.
Yes, of course. Yes, you've seen Yes, I've seen Road Warrior. I've seen Thunderdome.
My
and I've
friend
seen
made sure
the last two.
that I saw Thunderdome.
Yeah. And Thunderdome, Thunderdome's more like this, where like there's actual structure. And
I guess I don't know that. Like I was like,
but it's like 2 movies. Like Thunderdome's 2 movies, and this is 3 or 4 movies.
No, Thunderdome was like an A plot and a B plot.
I guess.
But they're all like.
Well, the A plot ends. We don't go back to Thunderdome. It's Thunderdome, and then it's the children.
I don't remember.
Well, anyway, it's great. It's worth, but like also, it's all about spectacle. Definitely see it in the theater.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
I was a little worried when I got the Dolby tickets. I was like, because all I could think of whenever I go to Dolby is I'm worried because we saw Let There Be Carnage, and it was the loudest movie I've ever seen in my life.
But we've never had that experience again, which just makes me think.
So I guess it was just
broken.
broken.
It was broken, or it was a bad mix. I don't know. Anyway,
I wouldn't be surprised if Let There Be Carnage was just poorly mixed.
I'm glad we saw it in that theater, like with the way it was meant to be.
I was really worried. I was like, it's gonna be loud.
No, it was good.
We're gonna hear a lot of engines, and we did.
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah, it was cool. It was really cool.
Additionally,
I liked it a lot.
like the opening to the movie, like that place where they were, I was like, I want to know that. Like her mom, I was like, I am so interested in this character.
Yeah, you want to see like another prequel to this movie where we see her.
It's just this very capable human being. Doing, like really cool shit.
I would like to see these like almost mute wasteland living Amazon women.
There were some guys there too.
Were there men? I didn't notice that.
Yes, there were. There were like a couple of guys ran off too to go help, but it was those 2 ladies who took
care of business. Yeah, it was awesome. It was a really cool movie.
It was. Admittedly, it was really, really fun. And I think watching it a second time will be better than the first time.
Well, and
because the first time was like, and again, having not seen Furiosa, I am like I'm just trying to get my bearings. Folks.
Yeah, you're just
I'm like, what is happening?
I guess I should have articulated, like, you don't like George Miller is not interested in continuity.
Right.
And so like for you, it's like you're supposed to be, not that you're supposed to be lost, but you're not meant to have your not that you're not, he doesn't care about explaining the world except for this. Like he must have just enjoyed Fury Road so much that he made this other movie that explains all the lore. So like when you can see, like, okay, so whenever you went to go see Fury Road, it was like your experience, but with less context. Because you don't know who the People Eater is. You don't know that Scrotum is Morton Joe's son. Like, you don't have any of this context.
No. See, I think that's a little different, right? Because that's a movie that's revealing itself. This is a prequel. This movie is meant to fill in, right?
Yeah.
So this movie is presupposing you have had that experience, so it knows the questions to answer.
Maybe.
And it's adding extra information. So I think it's different.
Yeah.
I think it's different.
I think you're going to see Fury Road and be like, oh, all right.
Oh, yeah, like I said, like I'm going to have an experience that you can never have.
That's true.
I'm going to see Fury Road for the first time, knowing
all this crap.
Knowing all about the Bullet Farm and you know.
Yeah. Gastown, and they're going to talk about it, and you're like, oh, I was there. I saw that place.
I know what that is. Don't worry.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah,
that was a shit show the last time I was there.
Exactly. Right? Oh, did they build it back up? Okay, good. But yeah,
good for them.
Or like, I know why Gastown is such a shit show. Thanks, Dr. Dementis.
Yeah, way to go,
you idiot. That's so great.
Yo, one guy dies real bad in this movie. I have not stopped.
There's a lot of wipeouts. Which one are you referring to?
There's like a lot of people die horrific ways. There's one guy I can't stop thinking about the way he died. Like it really upset me.
Yeah,
it's the guy who's swallowed up by the sand. I was like,
yeah,
that is not okay.
That's such a great moment.
That guy sucks.
Yeah,
but like for different reasons.
Yeah,
like, he's placates it and he lets things happen and like he's like, you know, it's like fine. I'm taking care of myself.
Yeah,
like I don't have to kill anybody. And like I was like. No, he suffocates by sand. I'm like, awesome. That's horrible. Yeah. Nah. That one I can't stop thinking about.
Like, I love when I love when I see a movie like that. I was like, you know, where it's like
you think it's like some other horrific thing, like someone getting hit by 4 maces simultaneously. No.
Oh, you mean the blender truck?
It's not that. Oh. It has a name. It has a specific name, and I don't remember what it's called.
I don't recall.
But like, no, it's not that. It's the guy who gets suffocated by sand. That's the one that sticks with me.
That shot where like the glider with the kite, with the octopus kite coming in. I'm like, oh man.
You can see it in the background.
I pointed at it like we were actually there. I'm like, oh, did you see that freaking crazy kite?
Yeah.
That octopus kite?
That thing pays off too.
Of course it does. It was like that moment in Rick and Morty where it's like where Rick's like, no, it's not Rick and Morty. It's The Simpsons when it's the Yakuza versus the Italian mob, and there's one small Japanese man who just, there's a big fight on the Simpsons lawn, everyone's fighting, and there's one Japanese man who just standing there. And Marge's like, come on, Homer, get in the house. And he's like, wait, but the one guy hasn't done anything yet. And you know it's going to be good. And then he closes the door and you hear, it's like, oh.
I was going to say it's more like Community with Frankie and the steel drums.
This is going to pay off later. It's not going to be immediate, but when it does, it's going to be awesome. Yeah. Yeah. There's a Rick and Morty reference too, but we don't have time for all these references.
This was very like, no,
it was cool.
Yes. And I do know what you mean, that there is one. But yeah, no, this was really fun.
Yeah.
And like I said, I think watching it a second time, probably if I watch Fury Road and then go and
then
watch
this again, you'll be like, whoa.
Yeah, it'll probably be a little bit of a better balance.
I think so.
But again, I was just trying to get acclimated.
Well, they don't make
and then like
this.
the pacing on the movie, I was like trying to, and because we were spending so much time without Anya Taylor-Joy, I was like, what is happening?
Right. Who is
has this movie started?
Yes.
Like, are we like in like what part of the like standard movie act story structure are in right now?
Yeah, that's not how that works. That's not how this works anymore. But like that's the thing with Fury Road.
Yeah.
That's what Max is. Like Max is not what Mel Gibson did with the character before. Like Max is he helps you keep your horizon.
Yeah.
Where you're like, that's the one I watch while the scene's happening.
Okay.
That's what he does.
Yeah.
And you see more interesting characters like Furiosa, and you're like, oh, she's cool, but like, okay, but we were going in this direction because that's the direction Max goes in. And that's like, I've never thought of it that way.
Okay.
Darth Messiah says, please convince my friend and YouTuber, Mr. Falcon Punch, who is probably watching this, to start reading Claremont's X-Men. He says it's too daunting, even though he's literally 1,000 chapters of One Piece. Also, hi.
Hi, buddy.
Hey, buddy. Yeah, you might dig Claremont's X-Men. I mean, like, you know, it's a lot of melodrama and interconnectivity and lore and, you know, payoff and stuff like that. You could definitely do that. It wouldn't hurt.
Here's the question, right? You wanted to read Claremont's X-Men, right? So which part of Claremont's X-Men are we talking about? Are we talking like...
We're talking like in the beginning, I guess, like, yeah, like right after like Len Wein introduces everybody with Giant Size. Like,
okay.
And I guess you could just go from there. I mean, you're asking him to read like 20 years worth of comic books, and it's like, no.
Or if you're just speaking specifically about like a certain time frame, like,
right? Yeah. Right.
Like, you know, like immediately I'm like, I know it's not Claremont, but like I automatically think of like Jim Lee.
Yeah, because Claremont did write a little bit of the Jim Lee. Yeah, he could read that.
And so if you're thinking that part of it, like I said,
or just read the Phoenix Saga.
Or read the Phoenix Saga.
Yeah, read the Phoenix Saga, and that'll be your way to start.
That'll be like a way to start. But like I said earlier, if you're talking about like the Claremont Lee like stuff into there, like the reason he should read that is because it was good enough for them to desire to make an entire animated series about and then continue that animated series. It has like a hold over a time period of X-Men that
is still felt today.
That's still felt today. Like it's never let go.
Yeah.
And if you can't get them to commit to reading that, if you're talking about that one, like I said, watch some of the show, pick out some parts that you like, and be like,
invariably Claremont worked on that. Yeah, exactly.
Like, just go check it out.
Yeah. Cat Lawyer, would you rather live in Mad Max or Waterworld? I guess Waterworld, it's a little less brutal.
I've never seen Waterworld.
You're good.
So I'm gonna go with that one.
Darth Messiah, what are your thoughts on people calling Furiosa a failure and alarm bell in general for Hollywood because of the low box office numbers? Furiosa is a casual. I would never expect Furiosa to be like a box office explosion because like it's so niche and it's so grindhousey. Like this feels like a movie you see like at like Quentin Tarantino's theater for a little. You know what I mean? Like it's where the film breaks.
If you want it to be like, if you want to call it like, you know, like, oh, it's an alarm bell or like whatever, it's an alarm bell for people to stop sensationalizing things.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like maybe that AI thing did hurt it, or maybe thinking that this, like you said, like this movie would be big and then trying to make it a big deal that it failed so that you can get clicks is part of the problem.
Yeah.
Like you're leaving the bad taste there, journalists.
Yeah. Certainly that. I mean, certainly also making movies expensive and prohibitive and creating these tiers. Like I remember in the opening for this movie, you know, we started AMC and AMC's like, and make sure to join these 4 different services that we offer. I'm like, yo, how about the service where you make the movie experience not like we go to Dolby. Like we pay extra to see Dolby movies or movies in the Dolby theater. for two main reasons. First of which is it looks and sounds better. The second and more important reason, honestly, is
The chair.
the chair's pretty sweet. Well, and yeah, I guess there's three reasons, but like one of the other reasons is reserve seating.
They all have reserved seating now.
I know, but like in the regular theater, no, like the regular moviegoers don't care. Like, and there's no one at the theater to enforce it, so you just SOL.
Okay, wait, hang on. Admittedly, when we went to go see this last night, the movie theater
There were
was
people
not,
in our
there
seats.
was, the movie theater was not well attended. And then we go up to our seats, and I'm looking down the line. And there's like no one else in this row except for this like dad and his two kids. And I'm like, and they're like not super young, but they're questionably, like one of them is questionably young in my. And I'm like, you know what? I don't know this kid's like maturity level.
I thought it was just
Maybe
a dad
this is
who's just an
totally-
idiot who's
it's
like,
just
I'm bringing my kids to see
whatever,
Mad
cool,
Max. It's gonna be
But
dope.
like, as I'm getting closer, I'm like, they're totally in our seats. All right, get the tickets. Here we go. And so I walk up to them and I diffuse the situation by going like, age 9 and 10, and he's like, oh, I don't even know. And he shows me like his receipts, and I think he's trying to like be like, no, I want to sit here.
These are my seats.
And so he's trying to show me these receipts, and the receipts are like the like ads
Yeah.
for that they give you, like that are printed
when you
out.
buy a
And I was
movie
like,
ticket.
no, I'm like, did they give you something else? And I'm like, see, like I have age 9 and 10. I show him the thing, and he's like,
H 9 and 10.
and he's like, okay, hang on. He's like trying to, he's like, no, I've got something else. And he pulls the ticket out, and I'm like immediately just trying to scan for the thing. And he looks at me and he goes, wait, he's like, wait, what movie is this? And I'm like, Furiosa. And he's like, oh my God, come on, guys. We gotta go. We gotta go.
Yep.
We're going to Garfield.
Yeah. No, they were in row N, which isn't a row in the theater.
Yeah, they were. I was like, it looks like it's N. That's not here.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then like the movie was supposed to start at 9 for
Yep.
them.
So, and it was 9:30. It was 9:23 when we were talking to
all
him,
the trailers. That's
which is
fine.
fine.
But I just love like as this movie was starting, I was like,
Oh, they were going to be
and
like,
there was the like
all the trailers were red
the,
band.
the trailers were mostly red band, and then there was like a silence your phones from Deadpool and Wolverine,
And they just
And I
curse
was
you
like,
out the entire time.
I would have paid money
For this dad to be like, where's Wolverine yelling at my children?
in front of Garfield.
In front of
I don't
Garfield. This is
understand.
this is a dark movie.
And it's like,
It's like, no.
so wrong. He's like, they told us to go here, and I was like,
Well,
you didn't look okay.
no, they didn't.
That's no.
But yeah, that would have been awesome. That dad would have been like, we unfortunately ruined a life-changing experience for those kids.
Yeah. But they hauled ass out of that
Yeah.
theater.
Yeah, because they were sitting there because they were 20 minutes late to the movie. But yeah, Garfield, oops. But yeah, so we go to those Dolby movies because it looks good, it sounds good, we can have our own seats, but also because like people who go to those movies, the Dolby theater usually want to have a movie experience, as opposed to people who go to the regular theater who are just there to kill an hour or two, or who are there to use the building as a babysitting service for their children, or as a living room for themselves. Like, it's only gotten worse, the movie going experience, because people are monsters and gross, and like, they're like, oh well, I'll just leave my garbage, or I'll like yell loudly, or I'll talk on my phone. Like, it's a prohibitively terrible experience for the most part, and maybe movie theaters should maybe take some responsibility for that. That would help. Anyway, Darth Messiah. Oh yeah, he said that already. Joshua Stevens. This movie was another showing of why I'm super bummed Anya Taylor-Joy won't be in the MCU as Magic. Fantastic actor in everything I've seen her in. She's great as Magic. Yeah.
She's like the Vivitch for me.
Yeah, she's the Vivitch.
The Vivitch.
But yeah, let's jump into some recommendations or comics that are coming out this week that we think you should check out. Penguin 10. You can start looking. Penguin 10 is coming out. Hooray. This, by the way, the books aren't coming out on Wednesday. They're coming out on the 29th. So keep an eye out for your books.
What?
That's what it says on the thing.
No, but that is the. Oh yeah, so they're coming out on Wednesday.
DC books are coming out on Wednesday.
Yes, I'm saying.
Instead of Tuesday.
Yeah. Sorry, I thought you were
DC
saying
books
they weren't coming out on Wednesday. I was like, what?
No, regular comics are not coming out on Wednesday. DC books come out a day early. Remember?
Yeah, I know,
but because the holiday, everything's shifted. So DC books will be out on Wednesday, and regular comics will be coming out on Thursday.
Okay.
Because of the holiday, everything got pushed.
No, I understand why you're saying that. That doesn't make any sense. Why wouldn't they all just come out on Wednesday?
Because they don't all come out on Wednesday, because DC books come out a day early.
I understand that.
So Penguin 10 is coming out. You should check that out. Green Arrow 12. Yay. On this book. Batman Dark Age number 3.
I mean, they say the 28th. But that's Wolverine. That would come out on the 29th. That's Wednesday. This is Tuesday. Today is Monday. Listen, folks, I'm about to be right. I just want everyone to know that.
Tuesday is the 28th.
Yeah, and that's when Detective Comics is coming out, and when The Flash is coming out, and when The Penguin is coming out.
Oh yeah. I'm sorry. I thought yeah. I don't know why I thought that it was Tuesday.
No, today is Monday.
Oh.
It's all thrown off because I didn't have work today.
Yeah.
I shouldn't be here.
Dark Age, Batman Dark Age number 3 is coming out. Right. Oh, you got that one. Ultimate Spider-Man number 5, yay. And Avengers Twilight number 6. I don't know if this is the last one.
Oh.
It is the last one.
Oh.
So it's finally
it's a
over.
really bizarre cover.
It's a really bizarre series. To go with that.
Fantastic. Rise of the Powers of 10 or X is coming out number 5, written by Kieran Gillen, art by Luciano Vecchio. Man, yeah, this is the end of this series. I'm sad, but I'm excited. You know, it's hard. It's a rough road to walk, people. I don't know. Wolverine number 50. This is the end of this as well, wrapping up Sabretooth War, and I guess Percy's time on Wolverine. I don't actually know.
Yeah.
But it's written by Victor Lavelle and Ben Percy, art by Jeff Shaw. Good stuff. If you were enjoying this, you're enjoying this, and if not, Wolverine ended for you a while ago.
Yeah.
Flash number 9 is coming out. Cy Spurrier, Ramon Perez, and Vasco Georgiev. Man, I like this book.
Yep. I saw somebody on Reddit talking about how good this book was.
Thank you. Okay. How did that go over?
Well, people on Reddit like it.
Okay, good.
Just like when a book sells, if a book is very popular on Twitter, it means that no one's buying it.
Well, whatever. I like it. I think it's really, really fun.
Yeah.
There's going to be an X-Men wedding special if you're interested in that, written by Kieran Gillen. So, I'll be picking it up. Tate Bromble, Teenie Howard, Wyatt Kennedy, and art by a lot of folk. I'm not going to go through all of it.
Nope.
But yeah, I'll probably check that out.
I mean, of course.
Kieran Gillen. Destiny's never before told wedding revealed at last.
Oh, good.
Here for it.
Yep.
I'm sure it'll be little vignettes. I like that.
Oh, yeah.
Really
No
fun.
doubt.
If you want to read some more Blood Hunt stuff, Black Panther has a Blood Hunt book. That cover is dope.
Yes, it is.
It's really, really dope. So there'll be that coming out. That's a 1 of 3, so not necessarily a tie-in. Also, Midnight Suns Blood Hunt will also be coming out if you're interested in that at all. That's written by Brian Hill. So
yeah,
he's working on Ultimate Black Panther. So might be something that you're interested in if you like the voice of that book. I do. I might pick this up.
Yeah, nice to see Midnight Suns getting some.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think I'm going to be picking this up. I'm sorry, Ben Percy. I'm sorry, but Hellverine number 1 is coming out. I just want to throw that out there.
It's the continuation of that thing you read. Remember that event?
Yeah, I know.
Or that story arc?
Yes.
Yeah.
You saying I should read it? Is that what you're indicating?
No, you don't have to read it if you don't want to.
That I should check out.
I'm not going to make you do it.
I'll read it and I'll be like, fine. I guess I'm reading this now.
I guess we'll see. You weren't really a big fan, so I don't think so.
It was, there was a lot of it in it that I enjoyed, but then a lot of it that I was kind of like, I kind of wish it wasn't tied in.
Well, to the
what was happening in X-Men. So
well, now it's not.
Well, I guess that's true. So it's kind of the big hits. I'm sure there could be something else I might pick up, but those are the big things I will be looking out for.
It's possible
this week.
Yeah. Of course, we did our special. Let's see.
No, we're good. We're
good.
We're all done.
Thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you to our super chatters for sponsoring today's show. Thanks to the chat for being super friendly and cool and kind and respectful in the comments. And make sure to stay tuned for more. Watch Tiffany on twitch.tv/ComicPop or on youtube.com/ComicPop Plays to play video games. It's going to be fun to see that happen. And we'll see you guys next time with another episode. I'm Sal.
And I'm Tiffany.
So long, everybody. Thanks a lot for watching.
Bye.